I know that Ashley and Randy, you have co-hosts. Can you please help admit everyone while I chair the meeting?
No problem.
Sure, Rosa, no problem.
Thank you so much. All right. Can you guys see my slide? Because I'm using like two devices. My internet is really at its last
Yes, we could see
already.
it. We could see
Thank
it.
you so much. Thank you so much. And with that, we are going to start our monthly meeting. This is a CPAC Chancellor Parent Advisory Council uh, meeting for October. And we're starting the meeting at 9:33 a.m. Just writing it down for minute purposes. And okay, for those that are new to the council, and those parent leaders that are hearing us on Zoom, right? What is Chancellor's what is CPAC, right? As per Chancellor's Regulation A660 that establishes CPAC, right, does not govern CPAC. CPAC is a citywide organization that advises the Chancellor on issues of importance to parents of New York City public schools. Um, CPAC also supports the President's Council by providing information on important issues affecting the schools and guidance in the development of local parent leadership. CPAC, the Chancellor's Parent Advisory Council, is comprised of presidents or the representatives, right, of President's Council that represents 32 districts, including boroughs, all the boroughs. Hope everyone is helping admit because I see them popping into my screen. Um, and we advocate, we are elected to support and serve 1.1 million New York City public students and their families. Chancellor's Parent Advisory Council, we ensure that every single parent's voice is heard. We collaborate with different stakeholders and work together to provide high quality and useful information. We are always striving for excellence, equity, respect, and opportunity for all. I'm going to my next slide. Computer, of course. Okay, so for the school year 2024-2025, up until today, maybe depends on everyone staying in the room for the elections. I am your chairperson. We have our first vice chairperson, Randy Garay. We have our second vice chairperson, Erica Newsom Rodriguez, representing District 8. I forgot. First vice president is Randy, representing Brooklyn High School. Recording secretary, Ms. Ashley Mulero, representing District 1 President's Council. And we have corresponding secretary, Josephine Cangelosi, representing District 20th President's Council. We have Treasurer Rebecca Staley, representing District 30th President's Council. And again, I did say Rosa Diaz, and I represent Manhattan High School President's Council. And with that, we're moving on. Okay. Attendance. Attendance we will taking only for these districts. I'm not sure who's the president or the representative because we have not gotten the election certification forms. We just received names and email address. So please kindly send your election certification forms to info@cpacnyc@gmail.com and include our face liaison, Anthony Aguilar. Okay, and also for everyone that doesn't know, as per CPAC bylaws, CPAC Executive Board reserves the right to contact a district president's council if they have not been represented 3 consecutive CPAC general membership meetings. So please send your representative, your president, you must let them know to be here on time and engage. And with that, these CPAC procedures, my computer, CPAC procedures and standing rules to ensure that our CPAC meetings are run smoothly, we ask you to respect the following. Please do not speak until recognized by the chairperson, myself, who is chairing this meeting. Please limit your comments or questions to 2 minutes to ensure maximum participation by the greatest number of representatives in the room. Remember the order of speaker as per our bylaws is as follows. The executive board, us, 6, voting members, and then non-voting members if there's any, and only if the chair recognizes you. We want to make sure that we hear from everyone in the room and not one person all the time other than the chair. And with that also, let me just read a very amazing quote that I live by every day. Great leadership usually starts with a willing heart, a positive attitude, and a desire to make a difference. We're moving on. If my computer wants to work. Okay. So with that, we have the amended agenda, and we also next to it is also the monthly meetings for the rest of the year. We already started with the starting the meeting, and I'm gonna do roll call right now. I totally forgot. I apologize. 1 second. Okay, let me get a pen, and we are doing roll call for. Okay, let's see. District 2. District 2. Okay, District 3.
Here, District 2 here, sorry.
Okay, we have another Anthony in the house. Okay, District 3.
District 3 here, Ray Mercado.
We have Lauren. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm her
I don't
co-president.
know.
Yeah, I'm her co-president. We're co-presidents of District 3.
And Ms. Ray, as
Yeah.
of yesterday, there was Miss Lauren being the designee. Can you tell me what happened?
We're co-presidents, so I'm gonna be coming to the meetings instead of her. You know, as co-presidents, we pick and choose which meetings we're gonna be designated for. So I'm assigned to go to
Right.
CPAC. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know who told you that. So this is what usually is in the election certification form. There's usually one of the two co-presidents that is elected to do the DOT and one is elected to do the CPAC. This is why it's very important for us to get the election certification forms.
Yeah,
As of yesterday,
Tracy said she sent everything in with the
I'm
minutes
sorry.
and everything. Sorry.
Can
Yeah.
no, it's okay. I just want to clarify because there's a lot of things going on and there's so much miscommunication. And I'm like, we as parent leaders follow the regulations, follow Chancellor's regulations, right? And in the election certification forms, it will tell you you were elected to be on CPAC, the CPAC representative, and the other person is elected to go to the DOT. And I definitely get that because I do attend the DOT meetings. I haven't received anything. So you can observe. District 4. District 4. Okay. District 5. District 5. Okay. District 8.
Sorry, District 6 is here, just in case.
Oh, okay. I know about Carolyn because of the elections. I know I don't see her in the list because I just want to clarify because I don't want any miscommunication and I am very transparent. Like my leadership has been given a lot of information and transparency And I don't see, I know your elections were when, Carolyn?
Our elections was on Monday, and we just
Monday.
provided a certification. Uh, unfortunately, last minute, but yes, it's been
No problem. I
submitted.
know you were elected. No, I know you were elected and you are uh, verified. District 8, I'm sorry. Erica? Okay.
I'm not the PC for outcoming for District 8. They just selected someone on Monday.
Sorry about that. District 8? Okay, I don't see them here. District 11? District 11? Okay. District 12? District 12? Okay. District 14? Okay. District 15? District 15? Okay. District 17? District 17? Okay, they're not here. District 20?
Good morning, Josephine here.
Thank you, Josephine. District 21?
Good morning. I'm here.
Thank you, Violeta. District 22?
Good morning, Vanessa Canastrasi here.
Vanessa, thank you. Good morning. District 24? District 24? Okay. District 25? This
This is Veronica Peter Leon.
Veronica, thank you so much. District 26?
Morning, here, Adriana Vilas.
Morning, Adriana. Okay. District 28? District
Good
28?
morning. Good morning, District 28.
Giselle, good morning. District 29?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Priscilla Montero, District 29.
Priscilla, good morning. District 30th?
Yeah.
Present.
Thank you, Becca. District 31?
Good morning, present.
Thank you, Melissa. District 75?
Present, Ashley here.
Thank you, Ashley. Okay. District, oh, it's not district, borough. We're going to the boroughs now. Bronx High School. Bronx High School?
Hola, presente.
Can I have a name, please?
Es Rima Rosa. Hola, good morning.
I didn't recognize your voice.
Porque dijo presente.
It's a lot of changes. I don't know anything anymore. Okay.
We got your back, Rosa.
Thank you, mommy. Brooklyn High School.
Present.
Oh, thank you, Randy. Duh. Sorry. I need my coffee. Staten Island.
Present.
Thank you so much. And Manhattan High School is myself.
I'm sorry, Rosa.
Yes.
I just want to clarify. In the Chancellor's Regulations A660, it does state that the FACE and the New York City Public Schools has to provide us with a membership list and information, contact information, which we were provided, and your name is not on that list. And you
I don't work for the Department of Education. That would not be me if they provided it or not, or whatever miscommunication
They provided the
was.
list, and I just want to share that as the executive board, we make decisions as a whole. And 4 of us, as the majority, agreed that we do not need the election certifications and that we trust that FACE is going to provide us with accurate information, which they have. We had gotten the information today for District 3 Ray, and you questioned it with You needed the minutes and the proper information. So I just want to share that
Right.
you did not ask for that. Nothing against you, Ashley, but you did not ask for that for District 75, which was the same situation. And for Manhattan High School is also the same situation. So we didn't receive that information either, and neither did FACE.
Right. So let's look up our bylaws, right?
I
Because
understand.
I remember, and it is on recordings, right? That we go by our bylaws. And as per our bylaws, right? We have the right to request those election certification forms, and you are being recorded right now. And there are recordings from the past that say the same thing. And I don't remember any notification, any agenda, any voting, any email that says that we were supposed to vote on this item.
So we didn't vote. We made a decision, which the executive board has the right to do. And the majority of the executive board makes decisions together. As far as our bylaws, we do have to abide by our bylaws. But it does state in the Chancellor's Regulations A660, if our bylaws contradict the A660, that the A660 supersedes our bylaws. So
Let's pull it up.
I just want to make sure that we're in compliance. But you did question, and I do understand that D75's election certification form was sent to FACE, and we do have Ashley as the member. But the same certification form was sent for D3. And then it was, we need the minutes and a letter from the superintendent as per ROSA, which is true. That is what we request. But the thing is, it was kind of a double standard because she didn't request it from D75, but she did from D3. So I just want to make sure that we're all following the same suit. But we didn't receive it from Manhattan High School President's Council. So can you share that with FACE so that we can be updated?
Also to
Yeah, let's clear.
clarify, I'm sorry,
Yes,
ladies, to
Ashley.
clarify for D75, that was done in advance. FACE had that information already. And FACE had directed the FLC Nora to go ahead and do it a certain way. So if it was requested that minutes and everything was needed, that was not asked of us at all.
No. So Ashley, I have no problem accepting the certification form, but ROSA accepted that from D75, but wouldn't accept it from D3. So I'm just questioning, do the same rules apply to everyone?
No, I get it. And thank you for bringing it up because I love emails. Emails provide proof. So I see that Ashley's name was already there and everything is in an email. So like from 10 hours ago, now there's a new representative. You understand? There is no communication, there's no email. And in our bylaws, maybe you remember that it states that in order to change a designee, it has to be 10 days before via an email to feedback.
In order to change the designee, the membership needs to vote on it. That's it. We don't have to get the election certificate. We get the election certification form, but the membership has to vote on it. That's the only thing you have to do to have a designee changed is the membership votes to remove the one person and votes to add the other person. So there's no issue here. But I'm just saying you question D3, but not D75. And also we haven't received anything from Manhattan High School President's Council as far as minutes. So can you provide that?
Yeah, my president is actually on the line. I don't know if she's able to unmute. Erica, you can give thumbs up if you want me to speak on behalf of us Manhattan High School's President's Council.
It doesn't work that way, Rosa. We need the minutes.
Well, she's a member, and
May I be recognized, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, Rima. Go ahead, Mama. Thank you.
I have a question. So I reviewed the agenda. I saw that we have resolutions. Are the two resolutions the only voting aside from the elections?
Yes.
Can we And minutes, okay. Can we table minutes, resolution, and this conversation to the end of the meeting so that we don't mess up our time? Because then, like, everything's gonna get pushed later, and we may not get
Thank
to a
you.
whole agenda. And we can have this conversation right before all the voting, but can we just get through like every other item that doesn't require that, please?
Sure.
Thank you so much. So we're moving on.
I want to make that an official motion. I motion to table this conversation and all voting to the end of the meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you.
Second
Who
that.
second? I'm sorry.
I think a bunch of us second it.
Melissa, District 31.
And I'm sorry,
Okay.
my name is Erica Bynum. If I just may speak candidly, I have a work meeting and I was just pulled away from it. I didn't even plan to be here because I had to do my actual job. So yes, if we could get to business, and either I am willing to meet with anybody else who needs to meet with me regarding some issues, I'm happy to do that. But I have to listen into this conversation and go back to chair another work-related meeting. Erica Bynum, Manhattan High School's President's Council President, and thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies, for keeping us focused. Okay. And we are moving on. So this is the, was that a new hand, Rima? I see a hand.
Nope,
Is
I
that a
was
new
trying to
hand?
vote with. Nope, I was trying to raise my hand to vote if that's what we were doing, just to expedite the process. That's all.
Thank you, thank you. I don't think anyone objects to us moving on. Does anyone object to us moving on? Okay. So this is the agenda. It's a full agenda. And these are your monthly meetings for the rest of the year. The new executive board will change it according to their time and yeah. So the agenda, CPAC business and updates. We have the first thing, Special Education Committee, Wellness, Safety, and Health Committee. Members updates, anyone that wants to share anything. And then we'll have the June, August, and September minutes, but I believe we received June. I know everyone is busy, and that is okay. Resolutions, we have two amazing resolutions that not just support one school, but support all the schools in New York City Public Schools that have sports availability. And we have a brief review and discussion with, the Chancellor's regulation, maybe not, depending on the time. We have Catherine Jedrick. I cannot pronounce it. I'm sorry if I butcher your name. Data privacy group on students' privacy and rights. And then we'll have class size senior advisor, division of operations and finance, Erin Gerham. I believe she's here already. Then we'll have a conversation with our chancellor. We're not sure at what time she is going to be here, but whoever is presenting or speaking, please stop so we can let our chancellor speak, give her remarks, and ask some live questions. And then we'll have the Office of Public Transportation, Laquana Chambers, and Melissa Eifel, Director of Communications. We'll have Barclays Center. This is an opportunity for fundraising for all of us, PAPTAs, and President's Councils, of course, by Joseph Dimitri. And then we'll have CPAP bylaws reviews, because they're very important. A lot of members still do not know and abide by our bylaws. We'll have some phase updates by Jesse, and then we'll adjourn. And hopefully afterwards, we'll have a conversation and do elections. And with that, yeah, let's stop right there. And we are going to start. Is there any members that want to share any information or news? If not, we'll go to a special education. Any members that would like to share, please raise your hand. Okay. And a special education committee chairs, would you like to inform us of the next meeting? and any information that you might have on that committee, anything that you might want to share.
Good morning. This is Ashley. So just a quick snippet. Unfortunately, we could not make the last meeting happen due to a event that was being hosted by FACE, and we didn't want our time to overlap because they were sharing a information session on special education and other information. So we just wanted to make sure that that time was allocated for parents to be present for as well. However, the previous month went really well. I believe a lot of our concerns for our gifted children, right, is just that having more support for their busing. There's a lot of conflicts going on. Unfortunately, many of our students, they didn't even start school until about last week, and it's kind of really sad. And then also, parents are just seeking more support in their schools with after school programs, as well as making sure their students, their kids actually have their IEPs completed, as well as guiding them towards steps if they need more help to get their IEP process started. I will share, I'll drop the flyer into the chat so everybody can have the upcoming dates for the remainder of the time, the school year that we have. And this way everybody has the information. But that's really it. I don't want to take up time. But that's what we have. And I'll also leave my email in case anybody has any questions regarding the committee or anything else. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Ashley. And I also attend those meetings. It's very important to continue being engaged, present. Everyone's voice needs to be heard, and every single member of CPAC is welcome to join at any time. And members of the public, please sign up. I do have a QR at the end of my presentation that you can just scan it, join the meeting, and if you are not being admitted for some reason, which we heard that before, let us know, because we're not perfect, right? We're human beings advocating for our families. It gets busy. And now, can we have Adriana? Would you like to share the dates and times and the committee meetings?
Yes, thank you, Rosa. We haven't had one since the last CPAC. We did give an update. Our next meeting is October 16th at 7 p.m. Thank you, Rosa, for co-chairing. There's a lot going on across our city for safety for our kids, especially with the ongoing, I would like to say, epidemic of violence, unfortunately, with our high school students. So I think it's very important if people can please join our meetings, and I look forward to the conversation. Thank you for all this.
Thank you. Okay, let me see what else is next on the agenda. Okay, there is no district, anyone does not want to share. And with that, we have the June minutes. Randy, do you mind putting them up, or Ashley,
We
if
tabled the
anyone,
minutes
just
to
for a
the end,
minute?
Rosa.
Oh, thank you
It's
so much,
okay. We're
Mama.
gonna fix the time. We right on time now. We perfect.
Thank you, Mama. Okay, we're going on with resolutions. My computer. If anyone can or is able to put on the resolutions that was already sent out, and it should be in everyone's email, that'd be great. If not, just give me a minute. I will do it myself.
We tabled that too, Rosa, because we gotta vote.
The resolutions are to vote, Mommy.
I know we tabled all voting to the end so we could fix that conversation, and maybe the FLC could send that documentation while we waiting.
My computer is so tiny right now. Okay. So it's I guess we're right on time. Sorry, I guess we're right on time. We're just gonna go with our data privacy group, and we'll table that discussion of the chancellors after all the presentations. Okay, for that, I'm gonna pass it on to Catherine. Let me give you co-host if you are going to share.
Good morning, everyone. I'm gonna hand this over to very shortly to my colleagues on the privacy team. I see Dennis Doyle on, and he will be running through the bulk of the presentation, but I just wanted to share a little context. As some of you may know, in the spring, after hearing feedback about our existing Chancellor's regulation on data privacy and some plans of ours to update it, the Chancellor asked us to convene a data privacy working group to talk about the regulation and give feedback, and we were able to successfully update that regulation last spring. Uh, uh, and I want to thank Rosa, who was a member of that working group and helped us get to that place. But one thing that came out of the working group as well was there was obviously a lot of feedback about topics beyond the regulation, including how we educate parents on this very important topic and what more we could do. So after the regulation was updated, we moved into a second phase of the working group that included work from 3 subcommittees, and one of the subcommittees focused specifically on parent and engagement and education. And worked with myself and the legal teams who come up with some new resources and tools that we could provide for families, including the presentation that you're about to see from Dennis. It's the first time that we're sharing it out publicly, but it's intended to do a more robust job of educating parents on this very important topic. So without any further ado, I will turn it over to Dennis, who I do see on and I think should be ready. But I just want to say I want to thank Rosa and all members of the working group and our subcommittees for the work they're doing on this important topic. And I'm happy to speak to anybody offline more about the work that we're doing there. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Katie, and hi everyone. Thanks for having me on for this meeting. Like Katie said, this is a presentation that we've been working on since we recently updated the Chancellor's regulation. And part of the reason why we put this together was to try to create a presentation that could be turnkeyed for parents so they can basically get better understanding about how does student privacy law work, what their rights are. And so we want to share that with you here today. So let me share my screen. Okay, can everyone see that? Okay. So this is the guide that we put together for parents and students to help them better understand how student privacy law works at New York City Public Schools. And the starting place for all this is, where do privacy rights come from, and how do they work? And we sort of use this analogy of building a house when it comes to privacy law. And the foundation of that house is the federal law, FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. And that's sort of the baseline, the foundation for all the privacy law that gets built upon that. On top of that, the additional floor that raises the floor in terms of requirements and standards is the state law, and that's New York State Education Law 2D. That came out in 2014, I believe it was. Regulations for it came out in 2020. So these changes were part of the major changes that we included in the update to Chancellor's Regulation A20, which you'll see is sort of, we call it like the attic, or I don't want to call it a roof necessarily, but it's sort of the upper floors of this that build upon the requirements beneath it. So you have FERPA establishing the foundation, New York State Education Law 2D building upon that, and then Chancellor's Regulation A20 further building upon those two. So that's the framework that we're dealing with when we talk about student privacy law. And then we ask, who has these rights under FERPA, under Ed Law 2D, under Chancellor's Regulation A20. And it's going to come down to parents and students. And so parents have the rights if the student is under 18. And once the student turns 18, the student has those rights. And if you talk about, well, what is a parent? That's going to include, obviously, birth parents, But that's also birth parents of students who are in foster care. They're going to retain those same rights. Adoptive parents, step parents, legally appointed guardians, foster parents. These are all going to be considered parents that have these rights. And then one of the ways that we reorganized Chancellor's Regulation A20 was to sort of frame everything in terms of what your rights are. And so we created this page here in the presentation to explain what are the different rights, and we kind of distilled it into 9 different rights. And in the presentation, like we have the right to non-disclosure, and you can click on it here, and you see the right to non-disclosure means unless an exception applies, education records and the PII or personally identifiable information in it cannot be disclosed without your consent. That's one of the most fundamental rights that you have. You have the right to access, and that means that education records have to be provided to you within 45 days of the school or New York City Public Schools receiving that request. The right to information security. You know, we have an obligation to keep data secured using administrative, operational, and technical safeguards. This is a big one under Ed Law 2D, the right to not have your data sold. You can't sell student information. You cannot use it for commercial or marketing purposes. That's a very fundamental aspect of Ed Law 2D that's now incorporated in our Chancellor's regulation. You have the right to amend records. So any education records that are inaccurate, misleading, or otherwise violate your privacy rights can be amended. The right to be notified of data breaches. This comes from New York Ed Law 2D as well. So we have an obligation to notify any of our impacted students or families if their information is subject to an unauthorized disclosure, and that's going to be from the smallest disclosure to a large data incident. You have the right to know about student surveys. This is an existing federal law known as the Parent Pupil Rights Amendment that we've now incorporated into the Chancellor's regulation that says parents have to be notified and have the right to opt out of any surveys that are touching on certain sensitive areas, politics, religion, sexual behavior, that kind of thing. You have the right to be notified of your rights. Sort of circular in a way, but it's there. It's one of the rights. We have an annual FERPA notice, the PPRA notices, and we distribute those annually every year at the beginning of the year. They're also available on our website. And then you have the right to file a complaint. You could either file a complaint with us, you can file it with the U.S. Department of Education or the New York State Education Department. So these are all the sort of the fundamental rights that we, have classified under the new Chancellor's regulation. And we'll get into each one of them a little bit more, just a little bit more detail here. So again, one of the most fundamental, and this is probably one people normally think of when they think of something like FERPA, the right to non-disclosure, the right to confidentiality of your information. And the general rule is that education records and the PII in them cannot be disclosed without your consent. And with that said, there are a number of different exceptions through which your personally identifiable information can be disclosed without your consent. Some of the notable ones, sharing PII with other school staff who need that information to do their job. This is known as the school officials exception under FERPA. And also sharing PII with third parties that have completed our data privacy and compliance process. This is sort of similar to the school officials exception, except for it's basically permits us to outsource certain functions to third-party vendors to perform services on our behalf. And this is going to cover everything from your community-based organizations that are working in schools all the way up to your big tech vendors. And all of them have to go through our data privacy and compliance process at New York City Public Schools. There is the health and safety emergency exception. Obviously, if we're faced with a health and safety emergency, we don't really necessarily have time to get consent from a parent to deal with something like that. So if it's a student that's having a medical emergency, schools are permitted to disclose PII to the hospital or whoever's treating the student, to make sure that like they're not going to be in imminent harm. And then lastly, another exception that I'll highlight here is the directory information exception. And directory information is the exception that allows schools to share certain types of PII only if the parent or the student is given an opportunity to opt out. And the sort of classic example of this is honor rolls. So if a school wants to post an honor roll up in the school, recognizing all the students who've, achieved a certain GPA, they can do that as long as they've given notice to the school community and to the parents and families and given them an opportunity to opt out of that. And in AA20, we've set up a system where if it's going to be the school that's using directory information, they're only permitted to do it for two different purposes. One of those would be recognizing student achievements like an honor roll, and the other would be for school publications, student newspapers, playbills, yearbook, something like that. And if they do want to rely on the directory information exception for those things, there's a closed set of information that they can designate. There's only, I think, 8 different types of PII that can actually be designated as directory information. So we've tried to make it very strict in terms of schools' abilities to use this, but at the same time, enabling schools to have something like an honor roll and have student newspapers recognizing student achievements, participation in sports, that kind of thing. So that's a general overview of your right to non-disclosure. Then you have your right of access, which is a key right. And this comes from FERPA, that schools have to provide education records as soon as possible and no later than 45 days. And before granting access, schools have to verify the requester's identity. They have to make sure that the person that they're giving the records to actually has a right to receive that. And typically this is done by requesting, photo ID. If we get like an email from a parent asking for records, like they should have to authenticate that they're actually who they say they are. A20 also requires additional notice whenever you have a situation where the request for records is coming from what we've called a restricted parent. And this is a new term under the new regulation. A restricted parent is a parent who has either their access to the child or to the child's records restricted by a court order, a state statute, or another legally binding agreement. Or it could also be a parent who is not appearing in any New York City public school records. We don't know who this person is. They're coming in, they're claiming to be a parent. They're deemed a restricted parent. And whenever one of those parents makes a request, there has to be notice given to the custodial parent or the parent with whom the child lives. Under the past regulation, we had a framework where notice had to be given to the custodial parent whenever a non-custodial parent requested records. And we found that that was creating a lot of barriers for parents who really for no good reason, maybe they just have joint custody, maybe they don't have majority custody, but they're getting a lot of difficulty in getting access to their child's records. And so we tried to make that change in this regulation to make it easier for those parents to get the access to the records that they're entitled to. And so now it's only a case where a parent who's a quote unquote restricted parent, and typically this is going to mean they have some sort of court order against them. So for example, if there's a stay away order against a parent, the parent is not to have any contact with the child. We're now deeming them a restricted parent. We have to send a notice to the custodial parent notifying them that this parent's requested records and they have a court order against them. and make sure that the court order is accurate and it's up to date. It hasn't expired. And then if that's the case, the parent who's requested the records, they can get access to records, but only insofar as permitted by their court order. So that's one of the big changes that we made to the new regulation. The right to information security. A lot of these requirements come from Education Law 2D, including the requirement that New York City Public Schools align with and use the National Institute of Standards and Technology, or NIST, framework for improving critical cyber infrastructure cybersecurity version 2.0. The current state regulation only requires compliance with version 1.1, I think it is right now, although they're going to be amending that soon, but we sort of got ahead of the curve a little bit in the Chancellor's regulation requiring compliance with 2.0. Student data has to be encrypted in rest and in transit. Data collection and transmission has to be minimized and limited to educational purposes. And then our third-party vendors, again, which I discussed a little bit earlier, have to go through our data privacy and security compliance process. And that's composed of three different parts. You have the data processing agreement that gets negotiated between my office and legal and the third-party vendor to ensure that we have the appropriate contractual agreement and requirements for those third-party vendors that's binding them to protect student information. They have to also go through a security review conducted by New York City Public Schools and our division of DIT, Instructional Information Technology. That's particularly for ed tech vendors that are providing educational software for our students. And then third, if the vendor is going to be storing information in the cloud, they also have to undergo a cloud review, and that's conducted by a separate city agency, which is OTI, this New York City Office of Technology and Innovation. Every one of our vendors that gets access to student information must go through this process. And so this is a very important part of student privacy framework in our rights here. Right to not have your data sold, fairly straightforward requirement from New York State Education Law 2D that's now adopted into our Chancellor's regulation. You cannot use student data for any commercial marketing purposes, such as advertising. Any vendors who violate this rule are going to be subject to severe legal penalties that could include suspension or termination of access to DOE data, civil or criminal penalties under New York state and federal law, and potentially disqualification from bidding on future contracts that involve personally identifiable information. The right to amend records if education records are inaccurate, misleading, or otherwise violate a student's privacy rights. Parents and students have the right to request to amend that education record. Those are going to be needed to be directed to the principal. And if the principal ends up denying the request, there's a process for appealing that and requesting a hearing. And we have more information about that on our student privacy website. The right to be notified of data breaches. Anytime an unauthorized individual accesses student information, New York City Public Schools is going to notify the impacted students or their parents, depending on the age. We also post information about data security incidents of note on our website. So you can go on there, you could find out information about incidents from years past. They're all going to be the big incidents, like the Illuminate incident. 2 years ago, there was an incident with a company called Move It. We post information about that onto our website. And again, this right is going to apply to parents, whether this is the smallest unauthorized disclosure, somebody's copying the wrong person on an email that has PII in it, we notify them. And that goes all the way up to, some of the more high profile data breaches that we've seen. And these notifications are going to be sent within 60 days of New York City Public Schools discovering that the information was impacted in a data breach. The right to know about student surveys, touched on this a little bit before. This comes from something called the PPRA. Parents and students have the right to be notified and opt out of certain surveys that touch on sensitive topics like politics, religion, sex, mental health. Parents and students also have the right to be notified and opt out of any non-emergency invasive physical examinations or screenings. And this also includes a right to request copies of surveys that are covered under this, and also copies of any instructional materials that are part of the student's curriculum. Parents and students have a right to request that under the PPRA and under Chancellor's Regulation A20. Again, the right to be notified of your rights. Annual FERPA notice we send out. PPRA notification we send out. We provide also at the beginning of the school year, the parents' Bill of Rights for data security, media consent forms, directory information notice and opt-out form. All of these are available on our website. And just to note, for the media consent forms, this is about the use of student images and student likenesses and student quotes that are going to be used by New York City Public Schools, posted on our website for our own media purposes. And also there's a separate form for nonprofit purposes. And the directory information form obviously deals with whether you want to opt out of any use of PII for directory information purposes at the school, like things like honor roll we discussed before. And then lastly, your right to file complaints. This one's fairly straightforward. Complaints can be sent to us directly, by mail, by email, to the state education department, or to the United States Department of Education. And we have to respond to those complaints and give them full consideration. So that wraps up our presentation here. And if there are any questions, we could always take them at student privacy at schools.nyc.gov. We're happy to answer any questions you have there. We also recently launched a new student privacy website at schools.nyc.gov/student privacy. So I'll stop right there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Doyle. Do we have any question? Please raise your hand, and if you cannot raise your hand, please unmute. Are there any questions from members first? I guess it was very detailed.
Rosa, could I just jump in real quick? Thank you for
course.
hosting us today. And I want to reiterate, this presentation is a step toward us really wanting to do a better job of educating parents and getting the word out and making this the sort of thing that goes across that, is available in all schools and all parents can talk about. We really appreciate the opportunity today to present it to this broader audience and hope that you'll all be seeing it across your schools soon.
Absolutely. And everyone will get the link to the new website and all the information. Please send the slides when you have a chance. I know I have them, but so I can send it to everyone and everyone can have the same information. I love full transparency and communication. That's how I lead. Thank you so much, guys. You feel welcome to stay or you can hear the next presentation. It's up to you guys. I know you guys are very busy, and thank you for everything that you guys do already.
Thank you.
And thank you. Now we have class size senior advisor, Division of Operations and Finance. Erin, are you here?
Yeah. Hi. Good
Yes,
morning,
I see you.
Rosa. Hi.
Good
Great to
morning.
see-
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, everyone. Thanks for inviting me. Let me just adjust my camera. Thanks for inviting me to come speak with you all on a quick update on where we are with regards to class size this year. I hope many of you are seeing some of the impacts of this work in your children's schools. We're seeing it kind of all over the place. There was a very significant investment this year that we made. And I can share. Okay. Can you all see? Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Oh, give me 1 second. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
It's
Great.
loading.
Great. Okay. Wonderful. I haven't done this in Zoom in a while. Okay. So I'm sorry. Okay, there you all are. All right. So just wanted to give a quick overview about where we are right now. Again, as I said before, hopefully many of you are seeing some of these impacts in your children's schools. I know I am. And I've heard from many families that are really appreciating this investment that we've made. So just because some of you are new on this, I wanted to start with a general level setting here about what the class size law is and where we are, and then we'll go into kind of the work that has been done over the last few months in partnership again with the UFT and CSA as they are our collaborators in all of this work. Okay, so the class size law, again, requires that we reduce the actual class sizes and not average class size in grades K through 3 to 20 students a class, in grades 4 through 8 to 23 students a class, in grades 9 through 12 to 25 students a class. The reductions were required to begin in the 23-24 school year and then grow 20% annually each year. So for this year, we are working towards the 60% benchmark. Again, this data is collected as of October 31st. That's a date that we'll share many times over, but that really is our critical data collection date. Schools are still working to finalize their data, finalize staffing, hiring, things like that. And that is the date that we take to do our official reporting. We have to share a report with New York State Education Department as of November 15th on this. So again, we have a lot of work. Our teams are doing an extensive amount of things between October 31st and November 15th. Looking at our preliminary data, we're optimistic as we were working through this milestone, but again, the final data won't be reported out until October 31st. The law also allows for exemptions. So in these cases, or in the law, there's 4 types of exemptions named. One for space, which requires any agreement around those exemptions to have a capital budget aligned to resolve. You have an exemption for over-enrolled students, license area shortages, and then again for severe economic distress. As I mentioned at the top, UFT and CSA are our collaborators in this work. We partner with them to develop and ensure their sign off in the class size reduction plan, which we put together annually, and for exemptions. So again, all the exemptions must be approved by both UFT and CSA. At this time, and as was published in our July 2025 class size reduction plan, we did reach agreement on exemptions related to space. And these exemptions, these are for schools that are impacted by cited and planned capital projects. And then also the specialized high schools under the over-enrolled students exemption, specialized high schools without space to comply will be exempted under the law. The details of that are all in the class size reduction plan, which again was published in July 2025. Just an overview again for where we are. So we have our new class size caps and just comparing to the old, you can see the significant reductions that are happening in particular in the lower grades. So 1 to 3 has the most drastic shift. Again, as a parent of a kindergartner and a 4th grader, it's heartening for us to see, for me to see this in the classroom. And again, like hopefully you all are seeing this as well, and hearing this from parents. Again, the reductions are across all grade levels here, including in arts and PE, which are PE and performing group categories, which are fairly high at 50 and have now been reduced to 40. This is last year's map, but it gives you a sense of kind of where things stood as of 11/15/2024. So you can see across the city, the districts with the highest percentage of class size compliance were in central Brooklyn. So District 16, 32, and 23, these schools had the highest number of classes beneath the caps. Also, District 5 in Upper Manhattan and the South Bronx. Again, these were the districts with the highest compliance rates. Schools in Staten Island, South Brooklyn, and parts of Queens were the least compliant. So you can see District 26 only had 25% of classes at or beneath the caps. Through the FY26 or this funding process that schools participated in leading up to this school year, schools in these districts with lower compliance tended to opt into the funding process because they needed the resources to reduce class sizes. Another critical part of the class size reduction work is around considering what space is needed for schools. So this map, again, this is a bit older data, but generally gives you a sense of need in space, right? So again, this is a main driver in impacting class size. If a school doesn't have space to comply in their current enrollment configurations, then either we will really need to focus on acquiring more space or consider exemptions. So when we engage schools in the FY26 or the funding process in advance of this school year, we ask schools to be really strategic about how they were considering space in their planning process. But again, you can see this map really shows you where there are high levels of capital need to increase space to reduce. And again, just to give an overview of what we have been doing, because again, this is a multi-year process that New York City Public Schools has been working towards. In the 23-24 school year, we convened the class size working group, and I do want to acknowledge there are a few folks on the call who are on our group. So Rosa Diaz, we appreciated your work, Randy Garay, and I see Lainey Hameson is on here as well, and she, all three of you all were critically important, and we appreciated your perspectives as we work through this together to deeply understand the law. After the class size working group, we convened we developed the first class size reduction plan. And again, the benchmark in that calendar year was 20%, and we exceeded that benchmark at 39%. The following school year, in advance of that school year, we invested over $180 million in class size funding, and our primary strategy was working with superintendents to ask them to increase compliance across their portfolios by 3%. At that point, that resulted in us reaching a 46% benchmark. For this year, the jump from 40% to 60% was significant. We worked in partnership with the UFT and the CSA. We had schools develop a plan, and I'll talk about that in more detail in the next few slides. And again, this was a deep and close partnership with UFT and CSA. We invested $450 million new dollars in 750 schools to fund about 3,700 teaching positions and 100 AP positions. We also, as I shared earlier, negotiated our first series of exemptions. To set the stage of kind of this is a very complex process. Reducing class size takes into account many things at the school level, down to kind of individual schools programming and use of every single and consideration of every single room in the school. As you all, I'm sure, are very close with your schools and principals, I'm sure you know how much for the schools that participated in this planning process, how much work and strategy involved. It involved working with principals and the folks who are doing scheduling at the school level. The first year again, or sorry, in 24-25, we worked with schools to increase compliance by 3%. We asked superintendents to work at the school level and kind of consider across the portfolio how they could make some changes. We revised our capital planning strategy that year, and then we rolled in some additional funding for class size. We also laid the groundwork for supporting teacher recruitment and retention in a bit more depth on that. And we focused on high poverty schools again as we were distributing C4E funding, and that was last year. For this year, again, we had to shift strategy significantly because we recognized that it was, again, a big jump to get to 60%. So understanding how complex this approach was, we developed a process, again, in partnership with NYCPS, UFT, and CSA that really looked to schools as experts in knowing how to do this at their school level. And again, ask them to work in consultation with their SLTs. This ensured that communities were a part of the planning. Everyone in the school was invested in the approach and could come to consensus generally about how to develop these plans. In the plan, schools requested resources to support teacher staffing, non-instructional room conversions, and additional classroom resources that would be needed as they were working to reduce class size. We had overwhelming response from schools that far exceeded our expectations, and we had over 800 schools submit plans, and then 750 of these schools were awarded funding for approximately 3,700 teaching positions and about 100 AP positions. Okay. Just so you have a sense of how schools were thinking about this, maybe some of you might have participated in this process on leadership teams at your schools. But principals had to consider a range of resources, so a range of strategies to reduce class size. Supporting teacher staffing was obviously a central strategy. They also had to take a look at how teachers were being programmed in their school, if they were teaching their contractual maximums, like they were teaching a full course load, looking at all the individuals at a school who hold a license to teach, looking at existing spaces, and then again, fully utilizing and programming existing classrooms. Some schools might have considered multi-session programming where that was appropriate, sharing classes or virtual classes. But again, these were all optional strategies. Schools were not required to do any or all of these. Again, it was driven by the school. The plans were developed in consultation with the SLT. Yeah, and they submitted them in last year, and we worked to get the funding by April. Again, we did some additional work around teacher recruitment, knowing that there was going to be a significant number of teachers needing to be hired. And again, there was a lot of work on early commitment for the new hire stipend, the teaching fellows, and working on recruitment and retention pilots in a series of districts. So Rosa, that's what I have for today. I don't know if folks had any additional questions.
Thank you so much. I know it was very detailed, and I know as part of the co-chair for the special education, we try to provide a lot of feedback from the parent perspective. Is there a question? Oh, we have a question. Erica, you have a question?
Hi, good morning. I just had a quick question, and just a clarification question. So how does the 60% citywide translate to the percentage each individual school needs to have for class size? Is that also 60% of their classes, or does that work differently?
That's a great question. Thank you so much for asking that. This is part of how the law is written. Um, So the law asks us to look at all classes across the entire city, and consider that 60% is 60% of all classes in every single school. So schools will vary in terms of their percentage of classes beneath the caps. We know we have schools that are at 100% compliance because they have the space and they were able to get the resources through the application process this year. And there are other schools that do not have space to reach that. But again, it's looking at all classes in aggregate across the city. So again, it's not by district, it's not by school. So your school may be higher or lower than 60%. But again, we're counting it across across the city.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions? I do have a couple of questions that were sent out to Anthony and Bibi. Can you hear me? I kind of froze for a
Yes.
second.
Yep.
Okay. So my questions, and this were, thank you for being patient with me. These were sent out. How many additional teachers were hired this year to lower class size? I know I took a look, and I know there we have a spreadsheet from the school budget allocation, and I don't know how to read them too much. So can you let me know about that? Because it says that 3,704 teaching positions were funded, but the dashboard says something else. Can you clarify that for me?
I think I see Stacy from DHR who's here. So Stacy, can you help us with that one?
Yes, good morning. So, a couple of things. Our hiring is not necessarily just specific to class size. Like, yes, there was a unique and intentional focus on class size, which is where the 3,700 additional teachers were. But we've got attrition every single year. So overall, our hiring practices are relative to what the need is. Of the 3,700 positions that were funded for the class size mandate, over 90% of those positions were filled. And because again, we don't hire just specific to class size, it's difficult to sort of distinguish in a dashboard what's class size versus what's our overall need for hiring. So relative to the class size, we got really, really close on those 3,700 positions. Like I said, we did over 90% of them. But some of that was due to brand new teachers coming into the system, and some of that was from teachers transitioning from where they currently were to new locations. What that overall means, though, is we got money for positions, we filled those positions, and we still have a lot of work to do in the upcoming year relative to getting to the next milestone for class size. But nothing really changed relative to our practices. We do traditional teacher recruitment, which is us recruiting teachers from institutes of higher education who decided like, yeah, teaching is what I want to do. And we increased the numbers for our New York City Teaching Fellows program, which is our alternative certification program to get folks who are career changers into our classrooms. And we almost tripled the size of our Teaching Fellows program coming into this year. So we've got almost 1,000 new teachers coming in through New York City Teaching Fellows.
Okay.
Far more
Any
than
member?
last year.
Yeah, and there's a lot of changes. I'm like not used to like too many changes, but if the change is impactful and positive for our students, like we must do them. Any questions from the membership? Otherwise, I will continue with the second question. Okay.
I see one in the chat from Becca. Are ICT and G&T classes exempt? So great question. The law does not cover special education classes. However, ICT is considered a general education class, so it would be included under the law. Same with G&T classes. The only exemptions that have been negotiated and signed off on by us, UFT, and CSA are related to space, again, and that's with schools that are being positively impacted by cited and planned capital projects, and then a subset of the specialized high schools. But that is all detailed in our class size reduction plan.
Okay. Any other member question before I go to the next question? Okay. So DOE has admitted that about 500 schools do not have the space at the current enrollment, right, to reduce the class size mandate. These schools enroll nearly half of all the students. Will the principals be allowed to cap admissions at a lower level to meet the mandate, especially if they are underutilized schools at the same grade level?
I can take that one. So we recognize that for some schools, achieving class size mandates in their current space and enrollment configurations is not going to be possible without dramatic enrollment reductions or significant capital expansions. We are invested and working in partnership with the School Construction Authority to ensure that and I think Corazon so could probably speak to more a bit more around that, but that's definitely a major part of our strategy. But regarding enrollment to date, we have prioritized family choice and have not made any significant changes to enrollment for the purposes of complying with smaller class sizes at individual schools. As the law does allow for exemptions, again, I've mentioned that two have been negotiated to date, and we work to consider others. But there have been no significant changes to enrollment at this time.
Does Cora want to add anything to it? Because I know it's like a lot of space is needed, and we have a lot of schools have to create an additional grade level just because they have a lot of students of that specific grade, right? If there's like fourth graders, let's say, and you had 3 of those classrooms, now you have to add another classroom. But if you don't have the space, what do you do, right?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I think I've been here before. Certainly happy to talk a little bit from the capital perspective. I think one thing to share is I think when we talk about new capacity, folks automatically think about new buildings, new leases, which it's great. Those are approaches we have been using to deliver new seats for decades. In order to support class size, what we have done is to work with our partners at New York City Public School to identify potential opportunities where in existing buildings by combining some rooms, dividing up rooms to create additional classroom. Now that approach doesn't work for every school. Works for some school where there is opportunity for us to gain even just 1 classroom, 2 classrooms, even 10 seats. To the extent possible, we are implement those what we call classroom conversion projects. Those are a bit faster and probably a little bit more cost efficient. So in the February amendment, we identified, I think, 3 projects. Those are pilots. It's also the start of rolling out the program. We are going to identify more projects soon, and we continue to work to, again, to take advantage of any opportunity where we could create additional space in existing buildings, exactly do what you are talking about, where a school needs another classroom to support opening the new classes for a certain grade. Again, as long as we can create space code compliant, that can work for the school. We are implementing those projects as fast as we can.
Thank you. I know every single parent wants things to be done fast, and I know everything takes time, and I'm not good with time. I want everything like now. I know I have another additional question, and this is the last one for me. Um, so the SEA testified last March that 75,000 additional seats will be necessary to comply with the law. How many school seats will be added to the revised capital plan that is going to be released next month? And will the SEA disclose the district and grade level for the additional funded seats that are needed?
Thank you for the question. So the 75,000 seats was a very, very rough estimate based on the 500 schools we know were not in compliance as of last September. Again, they are very rough estimate, and as you know, enrollment is very dynamic, so that number is probably different now. But that was to really just give us a sense of how many seats we need citywide. In the plan, there is currently 6.13 billion allocated for to create new capacity. Now that sounds like a lot of money, but it really only, we estimate, will fund 33,417 seats. That, as you can see, does not cover all the 75,000 seats we estimate needed. It is only partial. It will only address some of the schools. We don't think the funding, we don't anticipate the funding level will change in the upcoming plan. So you most likely will stay at 6.13 billion for new capacity. But we will share, hopefully in the November amendment, some of the progress we're making, such as the additional classroom conversion projects that we are able to authorize and proceed with. Also, just want to kind of share, it's not update in the current November, in the proposed November amendment, but I don't think we had the chance to explain how the changes were made in the February amendment. So we have heard, from a lot of external parties and like you guys advocates about how do we have seats, 33,000 seats, but they're all citywide. How do we know which district gets how many seats? So what we have done is, again, working with Aaron and team and other offices at public school to look at where we have the most concentrated seats, the level of the seat need within different geographic areas. So we did identify 12 sub-districts that will receive seat allocation because they either have a higher level of seat need or they have a high concentration of seat need. So 12 district and sub-district receive seat allocation on PSIS level. 2 boroughs, Brooklyn and Queens, received seat allocation on high school level. I'm happy to share a list of those district and sub-district with folks here if that's helpful. Again, we don't, okay, consider it done. We'll send that over. We're not going to make any change in the November amendment. Typically, we're trying to monitoring the enrollment trend to make sure things are not swinging in big directions, right? Because capital investment on longer term strategies, it will take time to implement. So to change direction too fast is going to really prevent us actually to implement, look for sites. But we will continue to monitor enrollment and work closely with public school to make adjustment in the future if there are significant switch in trends, patterns that needs to be acknowledged and adjusted. But for the November amendment, we are not anticipating to make major changes. Hopefully that answers some of your question.
Yeah, I mean, we will continue, like, to work together with like parent advocates, and like I feel like you guys take all our feedback respectfully, and thank you so much for always acknowledging that we're like in every single space trying to advocate for our parents, trying to advocate for better student environment, and space. I appreciate you, Cora. I appreciate you, Erin. We have a hand raise, Adriana.
Thank you, Rosa, for the acknowledgement. And I appreciate the SEA with the conversation, and I appreciate everyone with small class size. But unfortunately, in District 26, we have a very different situation where everything, especially our high schools, are extremely overcrowded. They have two cohorts, Francis Lewis, they each have over 3,500 students. And we don't have any more high schools within District 26. It's ridiculous what's going on in District 26. But with that being said, and I also put in the chat that I do know parents, because of small class, I'm just putting this out there to everyone, that have been told that their school from down the block where they have moved, because Queens North is different, because of small class size, they had to look for another neighboring school. And I brought this to attention to my PTA presidents to let their incoming families know what will happen in our district as a result. It's unfortunate. With that being said, the SCA, my question to them is, what kind of community outreach have you done? Because I also was on the community board as well, to actually partner with community members to find these properties and to find the space for that, so that we can move on and have these high schools, so we can have the access to for our families, because my children literally travel almost 2 hours every day each way to their high schools, right? To other high schools. So District 26, once again, I'm sorry, is very different from everyone else, but I would like to know, and if you can share maybe at President's Council at Queens District 26, what is the SEA doing to partner with our communities to look for these spaces together so we can help our communities as well? Thank you very much, Rosa, for the acknowledgement.
Thank you, Adriana, for your question and your advocacy. And this is to show, the passion. Like, we go and visit our schools. We are presidents of President's Council. We're SLT. We're Title I. We're CECs. We're like in every single parent leadership structure, trying to advocate. Like, I know that my interactions have been great, but that's not the same in other districts, and it's unfortunate. But again, let's continue to work together. Any feedback, any response, Cora? You guys are gonna follow up.
Sure. Thank you for the question, Adriana. We absolutely, District 26 has been a very challenging area of us, to be very honest. As you know, even before class size, we have always identified C need in District 26, but unfortunately, it is such a well-developed area. We have, come across sites, but there were sites we unfortunately lost, for whatever reason. But one thing I know you asked specifically about high school, but I do want to mention other, PSI schools, just to show some of the things we have done that is slightly different from, the citywide strategy, right? District 26, again, very difficult from a real estate perspective, very difficult to identify a piece of property that is big enough, appropriate for us to construct new school facility. So what we have done there is we really look at existing schools where it's possible to try to build additions. We opened PS 26 edition this past September. I know we have opened quite a few additions in the past as well, and there's other addition projects that is currently in construction. So those are things, because we couldn't find really appropriate property to build standalone school. So we're trying to address it in that way. It's still very difficult because there are times we have parks land where we really cannot build. Open space is also very important to the community. So you have conflicting priorities that unfortunately we're facing with. One thing I would say is, we go to CCs, we go to community boards all the time, and I'll put it in the chat. We do have an email address for anyone who come across a piece of land. This might be an opportunity you want to bring us to our attention. We look at every site. Now, a lot of site unfortunately doesn't work, but we don't need you guys to do that assessment. If you send any information to us, we will look at them. And we're trying to be more creative. Even if it works as annex, it's not as ideal as a standalone school, but we will talk to, again, New York City Public School to figure out if there is a creative way to make it work. You probably know we are currently designing PS 188 edition as well. So we are really trying to identify where we can opportunities to enhance capacity. High school is another animal. It's even harder. The size of the property it requires for us to build a high school is so much bigger. It is very difficult. What I'll share is we are actively looking. We have our brokers out there looking for sites. We built annex for Francis Lewis. We did open quite a few annex buildings in that part of Queens. Not enough. We launched that. We are actively looking. Again, if there is any needs, if you drive past any vacant land you want to send our way, please do so. I will drop the email address in the chat so that you have it. But every time we go to CEC hearing, we talk to anybody, we always share that information. We welcome anybody to give us needs on real estate properties so that we can look into them.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And for the connection, I will share that with my Presidents and Presidents Council. And hopefully it is a liaison for Queens, which is a very different conversation, especially for a high school. So I appreciate your the time this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
So basically, we're gonna be the special construction authority in a special investigation. Whenever we around, we're gonna take pictures and email them to you. Is this a good space for a high school? So that's what we're gonna do. We're outside every day.
Please do.
Thank you. We have a question by Ashley.
Hi guys. It's not a question. I apologize. I'm actually just want to take a moment to give everyone a very, very quick reminder. As per our attendance, if you can please rename yourself. There are people who are still on today right now, and there is no name. You've also been reached out to personally, so if you guys can just please respectfully, we appreciate it. Just rename yourselves just so that we have it for our attendance purposes. Thank you, Rosa. Sorry.
Thank you, Ashley. I do see a New York City Public Schools iPhone. I'm not sure if that's our chancellor.
No, the chancellor just got on now.
That's me.
Oh, okay.
That's Mark Ramperson.
Okay.
We are calling you Tracy.
Okay. Thank you so much, Erin. Thank you so much, Cora. Thank you, Mr. Mark. Thank you so much for everything. Are there any other questions? And remember, if you feel that your district may have a little space, just take a picture, send it to Cora. Is this a good space to build on your school? We're gonna be like the special school construction authority agents, parent leaders. Thank you, Cora, for the presentation. Thank you, Erin, for the presentation. And are there any questions? No, okay, no more questions. We are gonna move on with the agenda. And up next, we have the Office of Public Transportation. Let's see. I have LaWanda Chambers and Melissa Eiffel.
Yes, first, good morning. My name is Glenn Risbrook. I'm the Senior Executive Director of Student Transportation for New York City Public Schools. How's everybody doing this morning? It's always a pleasure to be with you every time we get a chance to be together. So I'm glad that you're entertaining us today, and I have my team with me that's ready to put on a presentation about the current status of transportation and some of the things we can look forward to this year, to briefly talk about some of the challenges, and just to answer questions that you may have for us after the presentation. Along with me, I have the Deputy Senior Executive Director of Transportation, John Benson, And with us, we'll put on the presentation, as you just mentioned. We have the Executive Director of Communications, LaQuana Chambers, and the Director of Communication, Melissa Eiffel. So on that, I'll turn it directly over to them. And thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to share my screen. Please let me know if you're able to see once I start doing so. I sent a request, so whoever's hosting the meeting, please accept. Thank you.
1 second. I was giving co-host to everyone. Thank you. You're on.
Okay, great. So can everyone see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay.
And it has it's sharing, but I don't see the. There it goes. We're good. Now we're here.
Okay, great. So I'm going to start with an overview about the Office of Pupil Transportation and our services, the scope of student transportation in New York City. We have the largest ground fleet in North America with about 11,000 vehicles, which is twice the size of the MTA. We provide transportation services for public, charter, and non-public schools. Students receive busing to schools in New York City's 5 boroughs, as well as schools in New York State, Westchester County and Long Island, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Content and background. We have 52 school vendors who transport 150,000 students to and from around 3,000 schools using more than 9,000 routes across New York City. Over the past 3 years, the number of students in temporary housing has increased by 98%. The number of bus routes has increased due to increased bus sites, increased student travel distances, increase in students with IEPs and limited time travel, 6,000 this year, increased students, 6,092 curb to school last first day of school versus 67,723 this first day of school. And we'll also experience a driver shortage of approximately 300 drivers.
Melissa, before you go on to the next slide, I just want to highlight a couple of things with this slide. I just don't want it just to be lost on everyone that we've actually added close to 7,000 more kids this year from this time last year. Our drivers, yes, we do have a driver shortage. Our vendors, believe it or not, did a better job this year of hiring more drivers. But with the increase, the massive increase of students requiring transportation, they're still falling behind the curve a little bit to try to keep up with the influx. But I just want to point out that there have been quite a number of students that have been added requiring transportation year over year from 24-25 to 25-26 school year. You can go on to the next slide.
Thank you for that clarification. Can you also put the presentation on like presentation mode because we're able to see your whole screen.
Oh, okay. Let me try to do that.
So if you can, on the top corners, if you can just open the screen up to the full, and then maybe it'll show up that way.
Let's see. All right, hold on.
And this should be presentation should be.
Okay.
Oh,
Is it
If you go to the bottom, the little podium, there's the minus and plus sign. Press the little podium. Yep.
This
Do
one?
you mind
Yeah.
giving me 1
Press that.
second?
Okay.
Thank you, Rima. Thank you. Can you give me 1 second? I believe I see our chancellor. Just want to acknowledge that she's here and you pause for a second. Sorry.
No
I just let her in. I'm sorry. I just let her in. I was actually going to tell you guys to take a pause.
Thank you, Ashley. Always on point.
So you want me to stop sharing?
Yes, please. I know our chancellor is like going from one place to another. I don't want to take all her time. Just to, just give us a couple of minutes I think I lost her.
I'm right here. I don't know if you mean Ashley.
We see you. We see you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. Having some audio issues on my desktop. Thank you, of course, Rosa, Randy, and the entire CPAC, and happy Hispanic Heritage Month and Italian American Heritage Month. We are going to, we're getting ready for our Hispanic Heritage celebration right after this, so super exciting. And we'll be celebrating Italian American Heritage later this month as well. It was great to see so many of you at the start at the State of Our Schools last year. We did things a little differently this year. As you saw, we kicked off with a panel to put the community at the center of the event. You know, sometimes we have events like this and they don't feel like they're intended for the people that they are, which are families and children. So we were really proud of doing that this year. We included greater levels of student engagement. Our MCs were students, our journalists were students, we had performers. As a matter of fact, I just read one of the articles that came from our student journalists that day, and they're super engaged in all that we are working on this year. We also had multiple principals speak and released a first of its kind accountability tool, which I encourage all of you to use, schools.nyc.gov/accountability tool. This tool really fosters transparency about our progress this year. It is a work in progress. It is our first one. And so we know there'll be other iterations and you'll all have feedback on different types of data. I do want to note that there are some data that are static for the year. You know, that's why we have like comparison data and what we did last year versus what we opened with this year. And then there are some dynamic data that will change at different periods of the year. Even if they stop at some point during the year, there will be some changes in this school year. And so we try to make that transparent as well. So please, if you haven't checked it out already, you should absolutely do so. In my remarks, I focused on the idea of lighting a spark through academic rigor and intellectual curiosity. And again, thinking about our student journalists and the roles that they played. You know, those are the types of things that we do authentically across the system to spark that intellectual curiosity. We also made a few announcements, MTSS and other MTSS framework and really doubling down on what that looks like. Again, this is not new to schools, but we want to make sure that it's done consistently because we shouldn't, much like we did with New York City Reads and Solves, we don't want families to have to guess the quality of these services in the school that they get, right? They should be able to count on this solid support. We also announced an 80-school New York City Reads ELL pilot, which is really important specifically for the schools that use the ENL model. We know that this is the most popular model. And so we really want to make sure that we are supporting teachers with what happens in that classroom, because when we do that, then we know that students are benefiting from it. We also announced our 4-part AI framework, which really comes from the involvement we've had with PEP and with CPAC and other parent leaders. You have all talked about the need for responsible AI use and censoring safety, mitigating bias in AI. And those are 2 key components of the framework, as well as leveraging AI to help with efficiencies and build productivity in classrooms. So again, doubling down on the message that AI does not replace teachers, but it is in fact, when we select a set of tools that are safe and that are honoring the diversity of New York City students, these tools can actually make teaching a more enhanced experience for both the teacher and the learner. And of course, the last part of the framework is preparing students for an AI world, making sure that our coursework is getting them ready to be producers of technology, not just consumers of technology. But to do that, we have to make sure that our curricula are up to date. We also announced an expansion of NYCPS Cares. Every child and family is known is now in 125 schools. There are 119 NYCPS Care schools to receive trauma-informed care training, which includes students, staff, 500 up to 500 families, and 250 family connectors. So I'm super happy to make all of those announcements, and we are also excited to answer any questions about them in the time we have together. Before I close, I do want to spend a moment talking about safety. We've had multiple senseless tragedies recently. We lost a student to gun violence, 2 to subway surfing. And as parents on this call, none of us want to even imagine receiving that call or even imagining the thought of our children not coming home to us after school. And so we need the partnership of the entire village, and that includes all of you, to ensure safety for our young people. And please know that this is my top priority. Mark and I talk about it all the time, and we know that we can't do this alone, which is why we spend a great chunk of our time engaging with the community and with CBOs and with NYPD, to make them good partners, to enhance the partnership that we have, and to make sure that we're being good partners. It's an all the way around process. And so again, we can't rest until we're not getting reports of any young person losing their life to some senseless act. But we appreciate your support, and we anticipate that that support from all of you will continue. So I want to thank you for your partnership and for being here with us. And I'll turn it back over to you to ask any questions. I know my team is on and they've been asking questions even while I was figuring my technology life out.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was fantastic, by the way. I know I saw it in the chat. I actually said the same thing, that it was great. Like the kids were very excited, and it's a beautiful space too. We have questions, and we're gonna start with Adriana.
Let me pull over. Okay, yes. Thank you so much once again, Chancellor, for being in our spaces and listening to our parents and our concerns. As parent leaders, it's really important. And thank you for that safety blurb that you just put in, because here in Queens, it's been an ongoing issue and it's very scary, and our parents are very frustrated. And I hope that I've reached out as a member of this committee, as CCHS, that we will have a press conference with our electeds tomorrow that they have put together. And I hope I have asked our school leaders as well to please come forward together in unity to speak out on what's going on. And I would really appreciate the partnership between the schools, the admin, our communities, and our parent leaders, if we could all be in this space together just for our children. So thank you so much for even saying that today, because it's really scary for our parents and our parent leaders. We have to just keep going. But thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Adriana. And you know, unfortunately, I will not be able to be there, but we have committed to meeting with the school communities, and I think, Mark, you're already working on that.
Yep.
Next Friday or tomorrow?
No. Tomorrow. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. We're moving it up to 4 p.m. to be respectful to those who are recognizing the religious holidays. So it's going to be 4 o'clock tomorrow. Then Martin Van Buren with the police department, DYCD, our credible messenger partners, CMS partners, school safety division, as well as others, to come out and talk about resources availability, talk about the supports that we have out in Queens and the work that the police department is doing to mitigate some of the violence that we've been experiencing.
Thank you for that, Mark. I didn't actually get that information, but thank you for sharing, and I will share that as well. But we also have a press conference tomorrow at 9:30 at the same location.
Yep.
So we could also share the news as well, coming together, electeds, parent leaders, school community. So thank you so much for helping us put this out there.
Absolutely. And Adriana, just so we're clear, between the press conference and the meeting that Mark is hosting, he'll definitely bring those next steps, those suggestions back to us at Cabinet, so that way then we can move on some action items, right? Like we don't want to just talk about this. We want to actually have tangible items and things that we can do. So please note that that's the spirit of that meeting.
Yes.
And that I look forward to debriefing with Mark, even though I can't be there.
Thank you. And at CCHS, trying to uplift the student voice as well, and putting together a student panel, hopefully with our partners. We're putting it out there as well. If we can get some support with that, I'd really appreciate that, because the student voice is important as well. So hopefully we can all come together for this. Thank you so much, Chancellor. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That's great. I don't remember seeing an email about that, but again, I have like a million emails, so apologies. My fault. I'm sorry, I skipped the executive board members first. Sorry, Randy.
It's okay. I had submitted 2 questions. So the first one was, how can schools ensure timely and transparent communication with principals, chapter leaders, and PTA leadership, as well as the broader school community when a serious incident occurs and it's shared publicly through the news, so that the staff, the families and staff are informed promptly and supported appropriately, so unnecessary stress or confusion is avoided?
Mhm. That's a really good question. And, I think part of the problem is that sometimes it's the nature of the incident where certain things cannot be shared, especially if it happens off site and we don't have, it's a police investigation. So I just want to be transparent about that. Unfortunately, there are times where you'll hear something in the news because it leaked, but we legally are not able to communicate, right? And so I think that makes things a little difficult. In other spaces where something like a weapon is recovered in a school, or there was like in another case, one of our campuses in the Bronx had an evacuation because of a bomb threat, we are going to double down on the messaging with our principals on when and how they should be communicating. I mean, it's very simple. You can send out a message to everybody in multiple languages and give them real-time information. That was the expectation. We were making sure that principals understood that and making sure that they were trained on that, especially since we knew that cell phones were going to be restricted. And I will say that campus in the Bronx, they acted very quickly. A relative of mine is actually a student on the campus. And so I knew through one of my relatives that she received the messages in real time on what was happening. So I think that it's making sure that where we are able to communicate and share information, that we are continuing to do that well. And we, of course, will continue to check in with our superintendents and principals to message that. And then again, I think the more nuanced and complicated piece is when there's something that is a police matter and we're not necessarily able to share. And so Mark, legal, and I will work with DSL to kind of think through what those situations can look like in terms of communicating what we can communicate, and then whatever we can communicate, ensure that that communication is clear and fast. Mark, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I want to add, what I want to add is on an annual basis, we do training for our school, all of our school leaders on the emergency preparedness. And one of the things that we stress and continue to stress is the importance of communicating in real time, utilizing our existing systems like Gamma, which was super helpful in getting real time information out to our parents. We also, as the Chancellor shared, doubled down by providing a phone number to parents that they can have direct contact with our schools if they're hearing something or they're seeing something that they want to report or share. But one of the things that we are emphasizing is the importance to overly communicate with our parent partners. So thank you for that question.
Thank you. The second question was, what is the policy regarding students who use assistive technology devices being permitted to travel with their personal devices throughout the day? And how can we assure that the school safety agents are properly informed and trained so that students are not required to store these devices until the end of the day, which limits their access to the necessary supports they need?
So that's a really great question, and we have been clear through the policy and the Chancellor's regulation that students, if they qualify, that they must be able to keep those devices. I know that Mark works incredibly closely with NYPD and school safety, so that way that training is occurring.
Yep.
But if there is a case where that is not happening, a specific school, we need to have that DBN. We need to know what's happening there, so that way Mark, the BSD,
100%.
and the superintendent can connect with that school immediately. We will continue to recommunicate that if we need to do a P digest, if we need to go in front of the superintendents and the principals. I'm meeting with the principals right now, actually. Throughout the last couple of weeks, I've been doing very small borough-based and grade band-based meetings with principals. So I'm happy to also make that part of the talking point with them. But even with all the communication, right? Sometimes things happen in specific places. And so you guys should feel, you should absolutely be empowered to escalate that to Christina, to Jesse, to Mark, to me. You have all our numbers. Please use them and let us know. But we need the specific school, right? It's not, if it's something that's happening in pockets of places, where you've seen it. We need to know it. It's not like blowing the whistle on them. We just need to know it so we could take care of it. So if we could get that information, that's going to be helpful.
Sure, and we were intentional with our training for school safety that the cell phone policy itself, while enforced by our schools, the agents are doing nothing more than detecting and directing, right? School safety agents should not be directly involved with the collection, distribution of cell phones. So any enforcement is that of the school. So if you can be more specific, let us know where you're seeing this so that we can address accordingly.
Thank you.
Does any executive board member have any questions first? If not, the rest of the voting members. And I do have a question regarding family connectors. I see Veronica.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I do have a question, and it relates to safety. For schools that have that use shared space, for example, the yard that is run by the Parks Department, but with the kids use the space for play, like for recess and so forth, is there any way or some sort of coordination that happens around the procedures that need to be in place for the locking of the gates while the kids are outside, or like in relationship to like what devices are used, or like how can you better assist in supporting the school with accessing yards and preventing the public from using the space while the kids are in the building in that particular space?
So there's a standard agreement with our Parks Department partners that the schools, that the parks that are adjacent to our schools are utilized by schools during the course of the day, and after 3 o'clock, it's public. It becomes public space. We can't lock gates when kids are in parks, right? It's a safety hazard. While they can close the gates, they can't lock the gates secured, so that first responders can't make their way in or kids can't make their way out. If we're finding that there are community members in the park during the times that the kids are in the park, you should make sure that the borough safety director is notified so that they can get the local precinct to come out and just remind the community that during the school hours, they can't utilize the park space because it is designated as school space during that time.
And just a quick follow-up, is there any way that there can be a sign that can be posted for like school hours, the yard will be used during the following school hours? Is there any way that we can do that for like some of the schools that are using the shared spaces, or can we request that from the Parks Department?
You can definitely request that from the Parks Department. They've been doing a great job when we did make those requests to put those signs up just to remind the community.
Is there any way that you can share the contact for the Parks Department, or how we would go around requesting that type of?
Yep.
Hey, Veronica, can you also just like tell us if you could just give us the areas, the parks, the addresses, and which ones you want, and then Mark, I can call Iris. We can just
we can
expedite this.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I will do. Thank you, Chancellor.
That is actually a great question. I do have a follow-up with that regards because we have here, I'm in District 4, and we have a school, a public school next to a charter school. They're literally next to each other, a couple of feet away. And the charter school does closes that gate for our kids to play on. So like, I don't like it. I don't like that. And I will be taking it directly because I'm also Community Board 11. And I have raised this concern at a community level, and I guess I'm gonna have to raise it up with the commissioner, Iris Rosa, because we shouldn't have locked gates, especially because we need our children to have the vitamin D. We need them to explore. We need them to play. We need them to grow and socialize. Is there anything that says that the playground is specifically for charter schools? If it's next to the charter school, if it's closer to the charter school than the public school?
No.
Is that something that maybe I don't know?
Parks Department space is public space. No particular school owns this space.
Yay, beautiful. I know how to advocate now. Thank you so much. Does any other member have any question? Veronica, please feel free to unmute.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just forgot to ask this question. So I know that we're saying about yards that are managed by the Parks Department. If there is equipment in that park department, let's say a soccer goal, and the net is broken or is ripped, who is responsible for maintaining replacing that net? Is it the school? Is it the parks department? Because if we're having our children use equipment that is managed by the parks department and that equipment is broken or that equipment is not well functioning for the children, and that creates a hazard for a child to get entangled into a net, or children who are in our specialized programming, D75, NES, Horizon, that are using the space, what can be done to make sure that we're regularly checking the spaces to ensure that the children, if there's no playground equipment and it's just cement and they're enjoying that and there's just happen to be a soccer goal, what can we do to make sure that the Parks Department fixes these issues promptly so there is no issues of safety pertaining to the children?
So I
Yeah,
think
we
there are a
have,
couple of things here, and I don't want to monopolize the time with this and turn it into a briefing. I think if the equipment is by the park is bought by the Parks Department and it's their property, then it has to be maintained. I don't know if any of our schools are using their equipment in the parks for recess. So that's why if you could tell us some of the specific schools that you're thinking of, that would be helpful, because then Mark can also connect with those principals. But I'm happy, and so is Mark, to have the conversation with Iris to say, hey, we're noticing that there's some broken equipment. If it's yours, what's the process? How often is it evaluated and assessed for maintenance needs? And how can we be helpful in making that happen? We have a wonderful relationship. She's super responsive, and we're happy to dig in if we know the specific places. Mark, does that sound right to you?
that's exactly what I was going to share. Thanks, Chancellor.
Okay.
That's amazing. I love when we take actions, everything gets resolved here. Done. Thank you, Veronica, for your questions. Those were amazing questions that I also had written down. And I know on Zoom, they're like blasting me with tags saying like, like this is what we needed to hear, because this is how we know how to advocate. And thank you, UFT chapter leader. Okay, thank you, Chancellor, for all the responses to all our questions. Does any other executive board member, voting member have any other questions for our Chancellor, for Mr. Mark? We have the whole cabinet. We have everyone here. Everyone, literally. Rima, yay.
Hi, good morning. So I have a question. I have a school that keeps doing an application for an open streets, like the open street application, because there's a lot of traffic during busing and it's a safety concern, and it keeps getting denied, and we've tried to go through DOT to get it, and they basically said to go through the borough commissioner's office to get potential interventions to slow the traffic. But can we get support with that? It's
What
actually
school?
D70. It's a D75 school in Queens.
Can you give us the?
Yep, I'm looking through the email because it's like a very long thread with a lot
Can
of
you
people.
just text it to Mark and me?
Yes, 23Q. But
Yeah, Rima,
I'll
just send me what you got
I'll
and
forward
we'll
you the
jump on it.
email because there's a lot of people copied in it.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, and I also know we as Community Board 11, we do the licenses and permits. So we're also able to provide and approve those open spaces for date and time and location. So look up your local community board in that specific borough. Thank you, Rima. We have another question by Priscilla and then Ashley.
Still morning. Good morning, everyone. Mark, District 29 needs you desperately for more town halls. I'm not only am I President's Council, I'm CEC Transportation Chair. We're having an uptake in gang violence in our district. So I'll be at Van Buren Friday. We're looking to put together a town hall similarly to what we did to combat the smoke shops, but it's getting to be a little bit out of control.
Yeah.
So I'll reach out to you directly and I'll connect you with our safety chair, but I'll see you Friday for sure.
Absolutely. And all of the right people that you need for this panel and this forum, they will all be in the house. So that is what tomorrow's meeting is about. It's about, all of the resources in one place, connecting with the people that you need to address the concerns that you just shared. So I'll see you tomorrow night.
I do. And I'll identify to you the schools we are working with that need the assistance with gang violence. Looking forward.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you, Priscilla. Ashley?
Good morning, everyone. So I guess this is more as a parent leader as well as a new family connector. How can we support our students who are going through a lot of bullying? In Manhattan, especially here in District 1, there's a lot of bullying going on. It's starting very early as sixth grade. And there's a lot of high schools that are antagonizing a lot of our other schools, and it's becoming a very harsh pattern that I keep seeing. Right now, as it stands, I know here in Global Leaders, besides my son, there are about 6, 7 other students who are being bullied by another surrounding school. So I guess how can we as parent leaders, right, and family connectors, how can we go about supporting our schools and really ensuring our families that it is still a safe environment, that it's okay for our kids to still be in school, and to kind of, I guess, anti-bully policy, like how can we enforce that? How can we share that?
Mark, would you mind meeting with the family connectors and just having someone from your team go over the Chancellor's regulation, the reporting, the hotline, all the things, so that way the family connectors have that information and they can share that with other connectors? It doesn't have to be you, maybe it's Dr. Logan, someone from your team, but I think it
I
would be
got you.
really helpful.
I got you 100%. And we'll give them all of the resources, literature they need, and point people if they have additional questions. So if you would reach out to me, ma'am, with your contact information, we'll work through.
We'll work with Christina. Yeah. Christina
I
will get
just
it
want to
set.
say that OSID's on today at 12 and 6, speaking about many of the services and supports you provide alongside with our attendance team. So Ashley, for sure, show up today. It's so timely that you asked that question, but that's what's going on today. Mark's already on it. Thank you,
Thank
though.
you guys
And
so
you should
much.
evaluate, Ashley. You should evaluate if
Mhm.
you get all the information that you need, and if we
Can
need to have
follow
a
up.
follow-up for like a very targeted one on bullying, we can do that too. Because I know OSID
Right.
covers, OSID covers a lot. You might not get to
Right,
Yes, they
right.
do.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Okay. Unfortunately, I have to drop. I apologize. But thank you so much, everyone. Your feedback is always super, super helpful, and it helps us to know exactly what it is that we have to march forward with doing. So thank you. It's great seeing you all.
Oh no, Caroline, sorry. Maybe send the question. Thank you so much, Chancellor.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Happy to take your questions. Send them over to Anthony, Jesse, the team. I'll make sure they get answered. Have a good one, guys.
Yes, and also also include CPAP because we want to know the question too. Priscilla, was that is that like an old hand, a new hand? Maybe it was old. Okay, we are moving on. Thank you so much, Mr. Mark, for all your knowledge and accountability. That's me. Okay, we are moving back again with the Office of Public Transportation. Melissa, take it away. Hope she's still here. Or Glenn.
Hang on. Melissa, you still on?
Sorry.
She's still here. I still
She's
see her.
still on.
I see her here. She might have stepped away a second.
I know, I'm sorry. But that was a lot of information that we needed to hear. Even I had a question for the Chancellor.
Sorry,
I
I
know.
didn't step away. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get back to the screen, and I couldn't get back to it from where I was. One second.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Apologies, everyone.
No worries. 1 minute, no big deal.
All right, can you see my screen?
Yes, it came up. You just got to put it back on present. present.
Okay, I think we were on this one. Yeah.
All right, we went through that. You can go to the next slide. Thank you.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
What's new in transportation? Streamline transportation processes for students in temporary housing and foster care as continue under Chancellor's Regulations A08. Improve timelines for reimbursement processing. Expanded training on transportation eligibility and coordination for New York City Public School staff, shelter-based staff, and external partners. Analytics and reporting having been modernized through systematic changes and single sign-on to simplify access for the creation of family-friendly transportation networks to generate reports on service, compliance, and readiness. OmniCard updates. OmniCard management portal helps to streamline ordering and deactivation, and digital OmniCard pilot will minimize disruptions for lost or damaged cards. So this is our transportation eligibility chart for general education students. So this shows you how that's broken down for busing and OmniCard eligibility and distribution. And next we have our specialized transportation for students with IEPs and 504 plans and special accommodations. So this is the eligibility for those students. And this is the service type. And this is just describing what Curbs to School is.
Yeah, let me just take a moment before we go to the next slide. I know we're up against it, but this is very important. I had to explain this to one of the constituents and some of the families. We used to refer to specialized transportation as door to door. And now it's referred to as curb to school. It's the same service, nothing has changed. It's just to further explain and clarify what the service is. Buses will pick up students at the closest, safest curb to the home. Most times that would be right in front of the door, but other times it may be a little away from the home, so that way the bus can safely pick up the student and drop off the student in the afternoon. Go ahead.
Okay, student Omni cards, good for 4 free rides each day. Students can tap a student Omni card whenever you want to take up to 4 free trips every day of the week, any time of the day, even on holidays and during the summer. They can be used on subways, local, limited, and select buses, Staten Island Railways, Roosevelt Tram, and Hudson Rail Link. They cannot be used on express buses. There's free transfer, subway to bus, bus to subway, or bus to bus within 2 hours of the tap. That's also available, and it's good until the end of the school year, which is August 31st. And this is the key updates. We're doing ongoing enhancements, including GPS-enabled bus tracking, student ridership verification, a caregiver app with live bus location, route management tools, and a bus QR code scan pilot to reduce travel time and provide families with real-time student boarding updates via the OPT student bus app. August 1st, we started delivering ferry codes. We're available for eligible students, eligible high school students, I should say, through the Nixa app. So students were able to access those codes to use the ferries starting August 1st. And September 1st, students were able to purchase 2025 to 2026 student discount tickets with discount codes. These improvements modernize student transportation to make it more efficient, equitable, and responsive to the needs of families. Our goal is to provide every student with safe, timely, and reliable transportation while offering families greater transparency, peace of mind, and communication. I'm now going to pass it off to our Executive Director of Communications and Engagement, LaQuana Chambers.
Thank you, Melissa. And good morning, everyone. So I'm just going to go through the remainder of our slides. So this first slide is just a slide for us to make it known to parents that we want them to create a NICSA account. When parents create a NICSA account from the transportation aspect, they're able to have their students' information displayed, and which includes vendor name, vendor phone number, your transportation coordinator contact information at your school, and your drop off. And so from a transportation standpoint, a NICSA account is great, but it's also just great for any parent to have, so they can just have overall information regarding their students. You can go to the next slide, Melissa. This slide just talks about how families can use our New York City Schools bus app to be able to track their students. And so our caregiver app allows families to view live location of buses for each student. There's also FAQs within the system and self-support videos that families can use if they need help navigating the system. And then we're always working on adding new features like bus arrival time for the app. So if parents have any questions or incidents that they need to report, we do have a customer service line, which the number's on the screen, and they can call that number starting from 6 o'clock in the morning until last drop off of a student. But on a school level, they should reach out to their transportation coordinator, which is going to be their source for support for busing, Omni cards, student trips, and just any other transportation needs. And then we were excited to launch last year's support hub. So if a parent doesn't want to call in and, maybe they don't want, if they feel like the wait time may be a little long, they can always submit a ticket through support hub as long as they have a NICSA account. This will allow you not only to submit a ticket, but to also view it step by step where it is in the process until it is resolved. So this is just another tool we have for parents, another way for them to be able to contact us. And then we have recently launched Eureka Chat Box, and the chat box is an AI-powered support tool that allows parents to ask questions without having to speak to a live agent. And the chat box can give you your same information that like you can get with your Nix account, like your routing information, vendor name, and different things of that nature. So if you just kind of want to quickly pop in and use Eureka, that's another helpful source for you. So student and family improvement. So we have been working with our vendor Nagaro, who manages our call center, to just make sure that we're creating different improvements for parents. And those things look like tool readiness, what I've already mentioned, AI, our support with Eureka. We have increased staff readiness. So for FDOS, we hired more staff, and we also had flexi staff. We had a strategic roster management, and that was carefully reviewed and optimized to just make sure, like during peak times, we had the staff available. And then we've had enhanced reporting. So that's just additional reports and dashboards that have been developed that helps us monitor staff productivity. Excuse me. Excuse me. And we do sometimes have service delays, right, which are not acceptable. And we always take direct action to address when those things do happen to make sure that our students are arriving to school in a timely manner. So from July to December in 2023, we had about 43,000 delays reported. From January to June of 2024, we had about 45,000 delays reported. And then when you just factor in the size of our operation, of a full service day, we do take about approximately 3.4 million trips per year. So having 88,000 total delays equates to approximately 2.5% of our total trips.
Melissa, Laquana, if you could just hold on there a second.
Mhm.
At the last PEP meeting, I believe one of the vendors explained this same particular slide in their own way, and it kind of felt like a lead balloon because it was pretty much saying that everything is going great. For the most part, a large majority of our kids do get to school on time, but and the size of our transportation network will illustrate here that yes, maybe 2.5% is all the delays are, but that represents a lot of kids, and this is why we're here to try to improve the experiences of our families. 2.5% is about 4,000 kids per day that are experiencing uneven transportation and affecting their ability to get to school on time every single day. Yes, it's a small percentage of the overall 150,000 kids that we traverse every single day, but it's a significant number of kids is why we're here today to try to improve the services to our families, and we don't rest. So anytime we hear of a delay or we hear of an issue with transportation, or if any of you contact us, we jump on those things as quickly as we can. And I just want to say that any one student, any one of those 150,000 students that don't get to school on time because of transportation that blocks their ability to learn is one kid too many. So we go to the next slide. Let's take a move forward.
Sorry, I'm having a bad internet connection. Sorry.
Okay.
So we just wanted to review, so students requiring limited time travel. So you can see on the graph in 2001, we had less than 1,000 students that required LTT. And now when you jump to 2024, we have over 5,000 students that have been required, that are required to have limited time travel. So that, this graph is just showing you the increase for students requiring limited time travel. And then this chart is just showing the average student's distance to school has also increased by a lot. So in 2001, it was less than 3 miles students were traveling. And now we have over about 4.5 miles that students are traveling on a bus daily to
Let
and
me
from
just
school.
jump in here as well before we go to the next slide. So based on this information and what we said earlier, with additional 7,000 kids that are entering the system this year as opposed to last year, what we have now are many more kids traveling further away from home to school, requiring to get there in less amount of time. So that is kind of the hurdles that we're trying to climb, is making that hill a little bit more steeper. But that just illustrates how the transportation supports that are requested by our families and children have increased over time. No, Rima, we don't have that, but we can see if we can get that to you at some point. To get a corresponding data for lateness for kids. See if I can get that to you another time. We can go ahead.
Okay, and on our last slide, there were some questions that were submitted to us. Most of those questions were answered throughout the PowerPoint, but for the ones who weren't, we just wanted to be able to respond to those. So the first one was, whose responsibility for providing busing to IEP students in private schools that receive services from the DOE? So we provide busing to public schools, non-public schools, charter schools, and some schools outside of New York City. If a student's IEP listed busing as a related service, busing services are provided by New York City Public Schools if the school is within 50 miles of New York City. The second question was, what happens when there are no busing paraprofessionals and the student required on one? If a student is coded for a bus para, the para must be with the student for the student to ride the bus. Every child assigned a para has been assigned a prepaid rideshare code if they're in their NICSA account to use if a para is not assigned or out for the day. And then the last question is timely communication to inform parents of different situations. So to keep parents informed about route changes or other transportation related updates, we use a combination of tools such as calls, email notifications, and New York City Public Schools busing app. Also, our transit team works closely with the schools and bus vendors to relay information in a timely fashion. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That's the end of our presentation. If you have any questions.
Yes, please send the presentation over. I know you mentioned IEP students. What about non-IEP students? And also, can you clarify if it's 0.5 miles or more than a mile in order to provide busing?
Okay. Well, non-IEP students, that's generally our general education students. We traverse about 75,000 of those students every single day. I'm not going to go back to that slide, but the 0.5 miles is for children that are in K through 2. They have to live further than 0.5 miles away from the school to be eligible for transportation. Anything closer than that, then they would walk to school or be traversed by their families.
Okay. Do you have the data for the charter schools that are currently receiving transportation?
We can get that to you. If there's any specific information that you need from that, other than the amount of schools and students, please, if you could send that to us and we'll get that answer right to you, whatever those questions are.
Can you also put your email down for all the members that are here
Absolutely.
and are able to get your information straight from the chat? Oh, we have another member, Becca?
I'm just going to keep it short because I know we're running behind on time, but I know you said 0.5 if you live from the school, you don't get a Metro card, for example. But for a high school student, yeah, they might happen to live close to their high school. Is there anything being considered because these kids have activities like if they're in the PSAL sports or they're competing on debate teams and they need to travel, so then they have to pay just because they happen to live close to the school? Is there anything being considered about giving all high school students Omni cards, no matter where they live?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead, John.
Yep. Thank you for the question. So two things. One is for school-related activities, even if a student is not eligible for the student Omni card, the school can provide them with a 2-trip Omni card so they can travel to the after-school activity if it's a school-related activity. In regards to expanding eligibility for the student Omni cards for the students that happen to live close to the schools that are currently ineligible, those are conversations we're having with MTA right now. I would expect we would need significant additional funding to expand the eligibility. Right now, about 500,000 students receive student Omni cards. Just expanding to that group of students that live within a half mile of the school is another 500,000 students. So those are conversations we're having. It's going to require some financial negotiation and some identification of additional funding and additional policy ramifications as well.
Yeah, because I'm just referring mostly to high school, partially because, yes, they might have a game and that's on the schedule and that's an event, but then these teams practice as well and practice at various locations. I mean, I personally carpool a bunch of the kids myself, but it's like I didn't realize that some of them didn't have a card. And it's like, how do they get home? You know, it's like they have to pay, and it's kind of crappy, actually.
Yeah, so the quickest answer on that is the 2-trip card. We give out a lot of cards for PSAL programs to schools, and they give those cards out to students so they can get from the end of their school day to that after-school program or sports event or whatever the case may be, practice, so on and so forth. Then they have an additional trip to travel home at the end. And those are available now. The schools can provide them to students.
Thank you. We have also a question from Priscilla and then Adriana, and then I also have a question.
Good afternoon now. I have been very active with OPT. I'm sure many of you on this call know who I am. I'm in District 29. We are a transportation desert, so many of our students, particularly high school, require the Long Island Railroad. So we're wondering if you would consider deeper discounts to the Long Island Railroad. That is a significant cost on our families. Without the Long Island Railroad access, some of our students are traveling up to 2.5 hours. I mean, you can get to Philadelphia faster. So it is quite a bit of stress on our families. A lot of our families don't drive and can't drive. So that would be one thing. We don't have ferries over here. The ferries are in Far Rockaway. And we do have quite a bit of express buses, which our borough president did extend for the Queens bus redesign network with MTA. But that's a whole nother story. But the Long Island Railroad would be my only recommendation, aside from some of our exception schools. That's it.
Yeah, John, do we have anything, is there any conversations going on with Long Island Railroad? I don't think we have any discounts with them, do we?
We do not at this time, but we can discuss with MTA.
Yeah, we definitely would. And just say about District 29, I'm from Jamaica, so I know exactly what you're talking about as far as the desert. So I agree with you 100%, and we will have those conversations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Priscilla. And Adriana?
Amen to everything that Priscilla said, because I'm in District 26 and the railroad. But I know, Rosa, we put a resolution together, in fact, about the Omni cards, and I'm glad that you amended it. But my question is, once again, I'm bringing up the ferry that these kids from the harbor school have to use just to get to school. It's not even after school. They have to get to school. So I don't understand why that cannot be free for these kids. So please, can we look into that for the harbor school, or there's any conversations, or how can we advocate for this school that is on an island? Please.
Yeah, we certainly can. John, go ahead.
No, absolutely. We'll follow up with the Harbor School. I think we do have something in place for them. I don't recall the exact details, but we'll follow up and make sure we get the students the support they need.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yep.
And this literally proves that your voice of every single district makes a difference. We need to be here in order to ask questions and get things resolved here right now. I have a question. I know that the school year for some districts didn't start okay when it comes to transportation. Some parents were told, oh, well, we're busy. We'll pick up your child at 8:20. And I was like having a heart attack, like, why? Why raise it to my superintendent? And then that superintendent told, oh yeah, you got to go to the school. The school has like a transportation liaison. So it was like a whole circle of everything. Who can a parent directly connect with when they're having a transportation problem or inconvenience other than their NISCA? A lot of parents are not tech savvy. A lot of parents still do not have NISCA accounts. And a lot of parents do not speak the language. Like, who can they directly, other than the principal or other than the superintendent? I personally don't know who is like the transportation liaison for that specific school, for like each specific school. Is there one?
John, I'm going to go through that.
Sure. So the best point of contact for any family, any parent whose child is experiencing a transportation issue or has a transportation question is the transportation coordinator at the school level. Every school has identified at least one. That's going to be the best point of contact. That person at the school level has access to a transportation liaison within OPT that supports hundreds of schools and provides training, targeted support, solves issues, assigns and sends extra Omni cards, whatever the case may be. So that's the best escalation path. They can also call our call center. Wait time is under a minute to report any service issues and get them resolved as quickly as possible. Most of those incidents are not going to be solved on the phone. They do require some investigation and some follow-up before they get resolved. So I hope that answers your question. That best point of contact in terms of a person is the transportation coordinator at the student school.
Right. So with regards to that, the transportation coordinator, what happens if that specific person is not helping the parent? Can I also get the phone number, the call center phone number, just in case? Because I know I had a couple of parents taking a taxi because of transportation barriers. Where can those parents send those invoices to get reimbursed?
So what I'll do, I have to pull it up. There's a transportation reimbursement section on the support hub, which is a link with a form you fill out, you submit documentation, the receipt, so on and so forth. That comes directly to us. We have a team looking at it to process and issue reimbursement as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and the number that you want to call was in the slide. We're going to send that to you, and we should also put it in the chat. And one thing I want to talk about reimbursement also is that it's been true with all transparency. Over the past, it has taken an inordinate amount of time to reimburse our families. We invested more personnel to this and assign a high-level executive within OPT to oversee the reimbursement, and he has gotten it down to under 30 days from point of receiving all the pertinent information to paying the families, reimbursing the families for the transportation that they use. So we're very happy about that, and we're still moving to shorten that time even more. So thank you for the question.
Thank you so much. I see a couple of links and a couple of phone numbers already in the chat. Guys, please grab it, grab all the information. And also it will be sent out hopefully by the end of the day. Thank you so much for all the information. Thank you for providing it in the chat. You might see a lot of emails now that you provided us information. Thank you for the very detailed presentation, Melissa. And with that, a quick announcement. Lainey, do you want to make the announcement now? You have like a minute because like we are like past time.
Right. As Dennis Doyle earlier explained, last spring, the DOE amended the privacy regulations and the first time authorized itself and individual schools to share a category of personal student data called directory information within the school and outside the school with organizations and other non-school vendors as long as they give parents the right to opt out. I run an organization called Class Size Matters, but also co-chair a national organization called Parent Coalition for Student Privacy. And on our website, as well as the New York City Public School Parent Blog, we provided specific instructions on how to opt out of that directory information sharing, including a one-page unofficial form that you can hand in at your school, as well as clear instructions for how to opt out via the official DOE forms for the 5 outside organizations that they plan to share your kids' information with, including charter schools, the military, and others, as well as the deadlines for opting out that are coming up soon, starting on October 22nd for the military. Schools are also supposed to provide you with an opt-out form for the disclosures that they plan to make. And if you haven't received that form, you should ask for it as soon as possible. Now, as you know, DOE and schools also share student personal information with more than 500 companies and organizations that provide specific services to schools, including edtech companies and more. And parents do not have the right to opt out of those disclosures. But according to state law, parents do have the right to know about which companies, which data, how it's being protected from commercial uses and breaches, and correct the data if it's inaccurate. Some of these companies, unfortunately, have already been shown to violate the state law when it comes to the commercialization of data and or preventing breaches. So on the website and blog, and I'll provide links to both, I suggest several questions that parents should be asking their principals and school leadership teams about this data sharing, as well as asking which EdTech programs are using artificial intelligence, which poses a special risk to student privacy. We're also holding a special privacy briefing on Monday, October 20th at 6 p.m. to go over all this information in more detail and answer any questions you might have. The info on how to register is also on the website and the blog, but you can also use the link tinyurl.com special privacy briefing. I'll put these links and the QR code, if I can paste it into the chat. Just as a reminder, it's Monday, October 20th at 6 p.m. via Zoom. I'll also put my email in case you want more information. But it's very important that if parents want to opt out of this directory information data sharing, they need to do it very soon.
Thank you, Lainey. This was a very important information. I know we're past time. Thank you so much for everything you do, Lainey. And please send us, I know I have the information, but please send it out. If you can put it in the chat and in your email and number and everything for everyone to know. I love sharing information. And I'm so sorry, Joseph. Apologies. We are so over time. Honest apologies. Thank you so much. You take it away. You
Good
need
afternoon. Good afternoon. No concerns, no concerns. All important topics. And glad to be here. Especially want to give thanks to the CPAC Advisory Council, of course, for the invitation and the ability to provide the platform. I'm going to share a brief presentation. We'll try and make up some minutes as well. I manage arena group sales here at Barclays Center. Can everyone see the screen? I hope. Okay. And I've been with the company since 2012. But before that, many years ago, I was also a DOE student and a proud one. PS 205, IS 96 FO, New Utrecht High School. And when you speak to the PSAL, that's near and dear as well. I played football at New Utrecht High School. But what gave me the opportunity to work in sports, because we all dream of playing in sports and have these aspirations, came to fruition in 2012 when I started working with Barclay Center. And now it's wonderful to be able to give back to these students experiences that we really never had growing up, provide fundraising opportunities for everyone. I do see a ton of people on the call that we currently work with, and thank you for working with us here at Barclay Center and the New York Liberty as well. And now I'd like to begin my presentation. And of course, the mission and objectives. Fundraising at the top of the list for the DOE. We have numerous programs available through ticket sales, through fundraising components, via our events to provide these opportunities to you, whether at cost, utilizing a budget, or no cost as well, through marketing campaigns that you would provide with your PTAs and getting the school involved and the staff involved. Faculty and staff appreciation. Everyone works very hard throughout the year. Everyone certainly needs time to celebrate. We do have opportunities where faculty and staff can also do what we call a group experience. It's all about the experience. It goes beyond the game and more. Third objective, field trips and curriculum. We've added sports career days, and we're excited to have 2 of them for the Brooklyn Nets season, and something I'll touch upon as well. We also have our family show campaigns also coming through fruition, which is Disney on Ice coming soon. With regards to fundraising, we can work towards your fundraising and revenue goals while building memories that last a lifetime. We have ticket raffles, opportunities to have online tools via personalized links, creating high yield fundraising programs, and more. As you can see here, here's our fundraising link, in which we've been working with Randy many years. We have KECS set up, and currently we could set up family shows that include Disney on Ice coming in January of 2026, the Harlem Globetrotters 100th year tour, which is February 15th at 3 p.m. right before midwinter recess, and also Ringling Brothers, which is going to be announced soon. For faculty and staff, we have numerous clubs and opportunities that include food and beverages, starting with our Hennessy Baseline Bar, which is a 50 ticket space where we rope it off, and this can be rented for a Brooklyn Nets game, which is a beautiful space. We also have the Row, which is located on suite level, that can be purchased for a minimum of 4 people and includes food and soft beverage, even a coat check as well. And then we have our Key Club, which is also a new space that we've created that can be rented with 4 or more people to enjoy a great experience at Barclay Center. So faculty and staff, if you'd like to set something up special with your teachers, with multiple grades and the school in general, please feel free to reach out to me for those opportunities. And discussing, of course, our youth and the field trips that we have, one of which that comes to light is our Sports Career Day. We will be hosting our first on November 3rd, and this session will be from 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. It will also include a game that evening. So we'll have the students come out during the day. Of course, the next day is election day and the kids are off, which is wonderful. So it's almost a Friday night. The game is at 7 p.m. as well. But more importantly, the sports career portion will have 4 executives from the organization, and we're an organization of over 300 executives, to give the opportunity for these kids to start to conceptualize and think about ways that they could work in sports, something that I had growing up, and I found my way through sales. We'll also talk about the globalization of the Brooklyn Nets brand, which now includes the New York Liberty. We're playing 2 games in Macau, China this coming weekend, actually on Friday and Sunday against Houston, which is going to be a wonderful week as well. Our tourism has skyrocketed here in Brooklyn, and we're super proud of that. So when we talk about all of this and put it into light within that 2 hours, these 4 executives will also speak to, and their C-level executives, their career path, their daily responsibilities, and more. So that'll be the first session right here. And then the second session, which will be STEM Day, will be on February 9th as we celebrate Black History Month through our Unite Nights. So our stars of tomorrow, we have key objectives. We want to reward our students, of course, recognize them, and allow them to participate in gathering together in collaborative efforts. And that's where we specialize in groups of 10 or more. Here's a quick video on our group experiences. Again, it's not just a game, it's an experience. And I'm going to showcase this video, which will be 1 minute. So at the forefront, we have our student rewards, and these are really life. When you talk about experiences, some of the most incredible that are offered. In fact, in any arena around the country, starting with our high five line. The high five line allows 25 students to high five the players as they walk out onto the court, as they come out to the court. They're four available, two pregame and two halftime. I know many of you have done them before. Incredible opportunities. We give the kids shirts as well, and we provide Jumbotron access. We have a photographer that takes stills also. A wonderful, wonderful moment as part of our group experiences, and that's all through ticket sales. The second of which is the Anthem Buddies, standing in front of players for the national anthem pregame. We provide shirts for the students as well. We have 15 participants available to be on the line on the home and away side. Pregame, we also have our student rewards for pregame shoot around. So although your seats might be in the second level for the game, if you qualify, you can have your students sit from the first row watching shoot around. Then we also have participation. If you have a dance crew, we'd love to speak with you and let you know how you can dance on the court, whether it's pregame or halftime. We have wonderful opportunities. You can celebrate spirit nights, opportunities that experience for students, is family experiences, and collaborating the parents with the students, of course, as well. And these are all exciting opportunities that you can have as keepsakes and perform on the court, which is an incredible experience. We also have playing opportunities on the main court, which is incredible also. That can be done pre-game as well as post-game. Photos on the court after the game as well. So numerous experience. There are no extra charges. It's simply through ticket sales and how many tickets you purchase. Family shows are upcoming, as noted. Disney on Ice will be January through February. Everything's pretty much in the first quarter of 2026, including the Harlem Globetrotters, which will be on February 15th, and to be announced, the Ringling Brothers Circus coming soon as well. Hopefully, I've made up some time. Thank you all for your listening into this wonderful opportunity for your kids. And here's my information, and I will also share the slides as well via the chat.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions for Joseph? I see Adriana.
I just
Hello,
want to
Adriana.
say hi, Joe. How are you?
Doing well.
I
Doing well.
did.
Good to see you.
Thanks. I did a fundraiser for President's Council of Queens, and I have to tell you, everyone loved the experience. We're working on something new now. They did they were on the court, and I don't
We
even
did the
know.
high
There was
five
a
line.
high five line. They got the shirts. Oh my
Yep.
God, it was such a great experience. So thank you, Joe. I'm looking forward to your partnership this year. Thank you for it. It's a really good experience for everyone that's looking into it. So thank you.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much. And the key, of
Any
course, is
other
awareness, everyone knowing about these opportunities, and we'll set up meetings, and everyone, of course, is personalized from with respect to the experiences and all, but feel free to reach out and set up your meeting today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Any other questions by any member? I don't see any other hands raised. Oh, yes.
No, I just want to share what I put in the chat, that it's a great opportunity, whether you use the link. If you use the link, there's no money in advance, and you can just share it out, social media, school website. It doesn't have to be members even in your school. You could invite friends from outside, and your school would still, or your district would still get money. Or if you do a district night out, you can purchase tickets in advance. That's how I met Joseph. I was like, how do I seat these people? So he had me come down to the Barclays Center when it was empty and showed me like where they break, because I'm a little OCD. So just to make sure that we're sitting people where where they want to sit. Like, I want my 3 friends to sit with your 6 friends, and we have a row. So if anybody wants to do it and needs help, Joseph is amazing. And it's a great opportunity to raise money for your school or for your President's Council.
Absolutely. Thank you for
I
that,
have a question.
Randy. Mhm.
I have a question. So are we able to use Title I money to do a fundraising for the PTA?
We are a DOE vendor, if that is the question. We are a DOE vendor. We accept purchase orders as well for any of our experiences and games.
So this, like, if we're doing a parent engagement and, so we're able to use Title I money, would that, Randy, please speak up.
Sorry, not for this, not for this, not the 1% parent involvement funds. You can't use it for this. But the school can purchase the tickets also. Like, so they're a DOE vendor. So if the school wanted to purchase tickets, they can, they just can't fundraise. But if we purchase the tickets, it has to be approved in your working budget, but you can do it in advance too. If
Yeah.
Right,
not,
so the proposal, I don't see a problem. You know what I mean? Because we're using Title I for parent engagement,
right, but it's
education,
for our,
training, workshops.
right, but how does that affect our children in school? What are we teaching them about our children in school and their learning and their education?
Fine.
No,
It
so
would
I
be
do
nice, but you
understand
can't.
that the schools separately can use their own funding for these workshops that they have with Joe. So, and the workshops include all these other things. So I know the school can do that because it's part of the curriculum, but I know parent presidents and PTAs were not, it's not a curriculum thing. So I'm pretty sure we can't do that.
It should be a thing. I saw a hand raised, but then it went out. I didn't know who it was.
It
Was
was
I?
me. I simply, as my first Title I experience, there was a lot of no-nos, obviously, that people wanted to do things with the money. And I was like, that has nothing to do with academics, or there's no real educational value coming out of it, unfortunately. Maybe teamwork. But other than that, I just wanted to say that it's true. You unfortunately can't use it for an event like that or um, a recreational space that way.
Thank you,
We
Carol.
we have our sports career days, so something to take note of for middle schools and high schools, which are going to be very impactful. There'll be 2 dates, so potentially from that component. But whether you have a budget or you don't have a budget, please feel free to reach out. We have solutions to help you fundraise. And as with my story, it's my pleasure, to be able to work with these, every school and just provide awareness.
Thank you so much, Joseph.
Thank you.
Priscilla, you have your hand up? Priscilla?
Yeah, the screen protector. Sorry, guys. So I used to be a Title I PAC many moons ago, and High School of Fashion Industries has a robust, and I do mean robust, Title I PAC. My other child goes there. And I will say Title I can be used for family engagement. In District 29, we often get tickets to Jets games, Mets games, and we utilize that for family engagement. We also use that for students in temporary housing to promote engagement and stronger relationships between mother, daughter, son, and dad. It can also be used, of course, to align with the school's goals. This year, we have our centennial at HSFI, so we're utilizing that to promote more engagement in the school. With the hopes of families being more engaged with their children, we're going to do a technology workshop with that, showing our older adults and grandparents how to effectively use technology to support their children, grands, so on and so forth. So there are a vast amount of things Title I funding can be used for. This particularly for this presentation is fantastic for family engagement. Someone who would never have gone to a game to promote healthier relationships in the household so there can be better and healthier relationships in the school, particularly with the uptake in crime. That is highly needed. So yeah, this is awesome. So I do know, and you can also utilize Title I funding to pay for food for workshops inside the school building. So light refreshments and things like that. So some of you may not know, I do Title I presentations in my district, and I help to secure a PAC.
I need you, Priscilla.
I'm here for my city, to work with you all. I can't give you guys 4 hours of my day, but I would love to be on a committee to help in any way.
You should put your information down so
I
everyone
will.
and expect a lot of phone calls and emails.
Okay, my pleasure.
Ema, you're up next.
Hey, so I would actually like to request that we have DSL come and do a workshop on Title I, a presentation next month, because as far as I understand Title I, and I was a Title I DPAC chair for 4 years, that is not an allowable expenditure because it's a field trip. And while we call it parent engagement, the Title I money specifically has to tie back to an academic goal, not just the Title I, not just a parent engagement goal, but something academic, right? And so let's say you were learning about history and you wanted to go see Hamilton, and that's a stretch, but you can tie that back to a goal within school, right? Like, but you really can't. This is specifically family engagement, and schools get a separate bucket of money for family engagement. Title I is to close gaps, and so it should supplement, not supplant. So it can't be used to fund family engagement fully. It should be a supplemental. And so they should be utilizing their regular family engagement money or PTA funds for that. Because even if you're going to purchase food, typically what they want you to do is to figure out how many people you have and stick to the $4 and whatever 60 something cents for the afternoon and like $4.12 for the morning. Like they're very specific with Title I. It is highly externally restricted. I dropped the links in the chat. I also have expressed centrally concerns with the way districts and schools utilize their Title I funds, because a lot of schools do like carnivals and say family engagement, or purchase a lot of swag and don't utilize it for Title I teachers to facilitate pull-out session and tier 3 supports to catch kids up. So I guess my question would be, if we're able to utilize Title I funds for parent engagement, what do your academic outcomes look like? Because that's why you're getting the Title I money in the first place, or because you have a high population of your school that lives at or below the poverty line. And so then I would be then looking to support expenditures within that, right? Like people that have attendance issues getting washing machines or building out a laundromat in a school to support people being able to wash clothes and not have to decide, I have a little bit of money at the end of the month. Do I send my kids to school, or do I keep them home and not get an ACS case for sending my kid in dirty clothes? And that may be a really Bronx specific situation with Title I. But as far as I understand it, and I don't want to be the expert, I'd rather ask DSL Sharon Renter's team to come and tell us so that we can, because listen, I want to do that too. So if we could do that, let me know, because I'll do it too. But I just want to make sure that we're like the proper information. Like I think we might all be a little bit right. So if they could just come, because they're in charge of this for DOE, like that's their whole portfolio.
I love that. Were you referring to Title I overall, or were you referring to Title
The
I?
regulation's not different. The 1%,
Oh, the
the rules,
1%.
the rules are the same. The 1% is just allocated by the PAC. The
Right.
expenditure rules are still the same. It doesn't change because it's the family engagement money. You still have to use it. So then for a family engagement goal, then you would maybe do a math night if you see that you have a high percentage of students that are not proficient in math, and you have a high percentage of students that maybe live at or below the poverty line. So you also provide a meal and maybe a Metro card, and then you have people come in and maybe you can send them home with manipulatives to support in math, age appropriate, of course, but that would kind of be what Title I should be. And if it's not, like, then your outcomes, your academic outcomes and your outcomes for STH and for your low income families should be high.
Yeah, I love to have them present because there's a lot of, I guess, misinformation right now. Priscilla?
I posted the allowable expenditures in the chat for you if you guys want to take a look at that document. But I do agree that we should have a DPAC presentation because that would help our DPAC viewers on YouTube to have better clarity as well. And exactly spot on with what the Bronx rep said. Yes, it is used to raise a specific goal. For example, literacy and math. So math nights are very popular. We've done Japanese denim and paint nights to elevate literacy in the arts. Wherever the school needs support, and closely aligning with the SLT, because the Title I rep is also an automatic member of that SLT, which is extremely important. But I do agree with you in that statement you said, but I also did share a brief overview for all of you all to share for parent leaders with your PACs in your respective districts. And that's an official Board of Ed document, by the way.
Thank you. I just saw it. Ashley?
Good afternoon, everyone. So I just wanted to thank Joseph because this was an amazing presentation. I definitely enjoyed watching the video you shared. I even saved the link you shared in the chat. I just think this is like a huge opportunity. I know a lot of kids in my neighborhood, in these schools. I know that they are very big on sports. So having this type of opportunity to their schools is something that is major. I'm very big on, family engagement in all of our schools. So I think that this was like amazing. And I just want to take the time to thank you for, for today with your presentation.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
so
Ashley. Thank you. Appreciate the
yes.
CPAC, again, advisory committee allowing us to present. We're here for the city. So Barclays Center's here, Brooklyn Nets are here, New York Liberty are here. We're 365. So in terms of engagement, please feel free to reach out and let's set up some more time. In closing, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I know you presented before to us also.
Yes,
And thank you for Randy for inviting you. Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you, Randy, and everyone involved.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Have a great day.
And you too. Thank you. And with that, we are going to skip the CPAC bylaws for now, and we are going to move on with Jesse. Literally 3 minutes past.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, members. It's always wonderful to be here with you, as always, and have the chance to share with you a few of our updates from the Office of Family and Community Empowerment. I want to always start by saying how much we appreciate all of you. The work you do to keep families informed, connected, and engaged is absolutely essential, and it sets the tone for a positive and collaborative school year. So always want to always echo and say on behalf of all of us here at FACE and the department that your partnership makes a real difference in our schools and communities, and I wanted to thank you for that. First, I wanted to, as far as an update, let's start with an update on our Chancellor's Town Halls. These town halls are just an important opportunity for families to connect directly with the Chancellor and ask questions and share their concerns. And I wanted to give a special thank you to CC31 for hosting our first town hall for this academic school year. This happened this past Monday, October 6th at the Petrides campus at Staten Island. The event was fantastic, warm, welcoming, organized, very organized. Families were very engaged, and the council asked on their behalf very thoughtful questions and very important questions. I felt the conversations were very rich and productive, and I really wanted to acknowledge the leadership, hospitality, and partnership shown by everyone on CC31 and the Staten Island community. We're very grateful for all your hard work. Looking ahead, we're excited to join CC6 on Tuesday, October 21st at PS 48 in Manhattan. And then after our town hall with CC6, the next town hall will be with CC15 on Monday, December 1st at the Brooklyn High School of the Arts, So we're looking forward to these next town halls and thank all of the respective councils for their support in making them happen and for their participation. So also want to mention that September was a very strong start to the school year. This new school year, we kicked it off with a collaboration partnered with District 75 for their back to school event on September 6th. And then later in the month, we joined PS 55. And I want to give an acknowledgement to Principal Luis Torres and all of his incredible staff at PS 55 for another fantastic back to school celebration. Families, educators, community members came together to celebrate learning and build meaningful connections. And then moments like these are always a reminder of just how powerful it is when families feel welcome, supported, and included. So thank you, Principal Torres and everyone at PS 55 for such a wonderful event. And of course, our family connectors were right there with us, answering questions, sharing resources, encouraging other parents to join the program. Their dedication and energy continues to inspire families to get involved and strengthen their communities. It's really amazing to see how much impact these parent leaders can have, not only in individual schools, but across the city. And I have just tremendous admiration for all of our families and family connectors. We thank you so much for being there at PS 55. Also wanted to talk about our continued work through our Family Connectors program and NYC Ambassadors program. Both of these programs are wonderful ways for parents to step into leadership roles, share resources, and make a difference in school communities. So I thank all of the parents who are participating, everyone who's participating in those respective programs. And looking ahead through October, we'll be hosting a new round of Family Connector training sessions on Wednesdays and Thursdays from October 9th through October 30th. We've scheduled both midday and evening options to make it easier for families to participate. And these sessions, just to give an overview, focus on leadership development, facilitation skills, and navigating DOE and community resources. They're designed to help connectors continue to grow as trusted leaders in their neighborhoods and make sure that families feel informed, empowered, and equipped to support their children's well-being. And lastly, I just want to say as we move forward into the fall, I want to again express our deep appreciation for all that you do. Your advocacy, leadership, and commitment to family empowerment are at the heart of what makes our school communities thrive. And together, we look forward to continuing to build a culture where families are not only welcome, but truly empowered to be full partners in their children's education. So thank you as always, members of CPAC. Always a privilege to be here to share a few of our updates, and happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions for Jesse? We heard everything clear. Thank you so much, Jesse.
Thank you, Rosa. Thank you, members.
Okay, with that, we are moving back to resolution, minutes. Minutes. Let me see if I can pull them up 1 second. Sorry about that. If anyone of the executive board has the minutes for June, I know it was sent out. I have everyone. Yes, got it. Hoping that everyone got a chance to review the minutes. If you didn't, we'll have like literally like a minute to review them. It was already sent out ahead of time. Can you see my screen? Maybe bigger.
Looks good.
Thank you. Ashley, do you wanna do like a little debrief, not everything, obviously, a little just debrief of when our meeting was, the time, and if everyone is okay, we can just scroll. Please let me know. Okay,
Sorry, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm on the phone with my big one school. I'm sorry.
No problem, no problem. In the interest of time, I know it's like literally gonna be 1 p.m. and we don't want to keep you waiting because we have another thing coming up. So this was our meeting for June 12th. We don't have the August or September just yet. We'll have them hopefully for next month. The President's Councils in attendance were District 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15, 16, 20, 21, 22, 26, 29, 30, 31, 75. Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Queens High School. We read through all our we went through all the presentations. We had a couple of presentations. Please look it up in YouTube live recordings. We also had a presentation by the IIT with regards to the DOE external. And with that regards, just in case DOE externals was paused, we're waiting to hear more from the Chancellor and her team, any notification from them directly. But as CPAC already knows that it has been paused. And then we had phase updates regarding town halls. And then we adjourned the meeting at 12:45, literally like 4 minutes from now. Can I have a motion to adopt the June minutes?
A motion to
Anyone?
adopt the June minutes.
Thank you, Carolyn. And a second person, please.
Adriana.
Thank you, Adriana. Okay. Anyone objects to passing the June minute, to adopting the June minutes? Okay, with that being said, let me stop the share and we are going to quickly move to, just Okay. Oh, the resolutions. We have two resolutions which we discussed last month with regards to the Omni Access. We had the Office of Pupil Transportation stating that there will be more changes coming along. Hopefully that doesn't take too long. And then we have another resolution with regards to PSAL. And this is an ongoing issue. It's not something new. I know a couple of councils have done resolutions for PSAL. And this is like a brief 1 minute literally resolution. Let me just pull it up if anyone hasn't had a chance to read it. 1 second. I am looking. Okay, so let me just pull it up so you guys can see. Apologies that I'm taking forever. That's how it seems. So sorry about that. And I'm gonna share my screen right now. Okay, if you guys can see real quick, I don't know if Randy, if you want to read them or I can read them myself. Okay.
I'm gonna interrupt for a second. I thought that we needed to verify who's eligible to vote. That's why we tabled these till later. Also, who authored the PSAL resolution, because I only found out about it this week and my name's on it and I want to know who wrote it.
I believe back in March or April, it was oh my God, I forgot which one. I don't know. It was one of the CPAC committee that all of us is able to attend. I saw it there, and I know a couple of other councils have also raised it up. This is a big concern that is still an ongoing issue.
I'm not arguing the concern. I'm arguing the timing, because as an exec board member, I thought that I would have prior notification than a couple days to read this over. So I'd like to table it at least for now.
Okay, I don't see any problem with tabling, but hoping that the new council does take this into consideration for next month. Yeah. And what about the Omni Cars resolution? Are we able, oh, what am I talking about? Okay, so with regards to eligibility, we are gonna go to concerns that have happened with regards to the A660. Let me share my screen. Is it sharing? Am I sharing my screen?
It's coming up. There it is. Yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. A lot of concerns have been brought directly with regards to the President's Council responsibilities. And a lot of interference has been happening with regards to the districts and superintendents. And I just want to read this out loud so everyone is able to know and grab this information and take it back to the district and take it back to the superintendent and say, hey, we're supposed to work together, but you don't mandate on my parent leadership structure platform. We respect each other, we work together, but overall, the superintendent and the district has one job, and we as a parent leaders also have a job and responsibility. So with that regards, and this is directly from the Chancellor's Regulation A660, although President's Councils are supported by and should work closely with their superintendent, we are autonomous. We are autonomous entities and must be allowed to operate free from interference or supervision from the superintendent and other school officials. The district's CEC, the CCSE, the CCHHS, the CCELL and the CCD 75 have no jurisdiction over the affairs of President's Council or our constituents who are our PAPTA's executive boards. Please note that we welcome that you are liaison to our schools, but you don't mandate what we do in our specific schools, in our specific boroughs. We welcome the support. We work together, obviously better, the more the better. But this has been brought numerous times in different forums, and I just wanted to read it out loud so everyone understands that we don't mandate on each other. We are supposed to work together, and please, the district and the superintendent need to respect us as parent leaders. Okay. And let me see. Okay. I think, okay, with regards to CPAC, and there's one paragraph about CPAC. Okay. What is CPAC? CPAC, and this is straight from the Chancellor's regulations. I'm showing you live. CPAC is a citywide organization that advises the Chancellor on issues of importance to parents of New York City public schools. CPAC also supports the President's Council by providing information on important issues affecting the schools and guidance of any development of local parent leadership. So with that regards, is President's Council, PAPTA are supported by President's Council. The membership, the president of each, hold on a second. Oh, Jesus Christ, I can't even. The president of each President's Council is automatically a member of CPAC. Co-presidents, and I just have to repeat it, co-presidents must decide which one will serve on CPAC. It is not one month you'll be the designee, the next month you'll be the designee. It does not work that way. Like yesterday you were the designee, today I'm the designee. That doesn't work that way. If the president is unable to attend CPAC meetings, a designee must be chosen to serve on CPAC in the president's stead. The designee must be a member of the President's Council, and the appointment is subject to the rules in section IH4. I did not find that. So if anyone is able to help me, that'd be amazing. I did not find H.4. Sorry that I'm unfamiliar with that. The President's Council CPAC representative is required to provide regular reports to the President's Council on the work of CPAC and to solicit feedback from President's Council to share on CPAC. Okay. And in order for CPAC to effectively advise the Chancellor, the DOE will share information regarding school programs and student achievement with CPAC. This is what basically we do every single month. We also meet with the Chancellor to advise, to ask questions, and actually, support our districts directly. Okay. To facilitate CPAC functioning effectively, the DOE will ensure that a member's list and appropriate contact information are forwarded to the co-chairs. Sometimes it's chairs, sometimes it's co-chairs. That is in our bylaws. After the President's Council elections have taken place, members' contact information on CPAC's email account, like listserv, website, social media accounts, and other mode of communication linked to CPAC must be used exclusively for CPAC purposes. With that regards, I bring the privacy and safety of protecting parent leaders' emails. I don't like to be added to political emails or town halls unless I request it. And I don't like to be added to any particular listserv without my authorization, without me signing up for it. That's what happened yesterday. A parent leader just added me to some type of group. I don't appreciate that. Let me know ahead of time because everything is a spam for me. So that's with this regard. One second. Okay. And I believe someone wrote about the bylaws. So I wanted to read our bylaws and also to clarify something because, and maybe Randy has been longer than me, obviously, she has more knowledge. But throughout these years, me being the representative for Manhattan High School and Shirley repeating numerous times, and it's in recording, that CPAC, we govern ourselves by our own bylaws. I guess maybe our bylaws need to be updated, and I have brought it up numerous times, just so we can all be transparent. I like transparency. Yes, Becca.
In the interest of time, I suggest we also table this because we really should be moving on to our elections. It's almost 1 o'clock.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing, but
I
Yeah,
agree.
so Josephine, I just like that everyone is aware of what the bylaw says before they even take a roll. But I guess Becca made a motion and Josephine seconded it. Am I correct?
Yes, I'm
motioning to
making a
put it
motion
to
to
the
move on.
table. Oh, a second.
And can I offer, Rosa, if you have the digital version, if you want to drop it into the chat, that way, if anybody does want to actually take a look at the bylaws during the election, they have the option to do so. And it is on our website as well.
Thank you, Erica. And it is in every single email that I send. I don't know if you had the chance to review that, but it is on the emails. It is on the CPAC website. So we'll table that for, I guess, next month. Hopefully everyone will read it. And up next, I believe, well, we're not doing resolutions because we don't have, we're not sure of our memberships currently.
Well, next we should just, I vote to adjourn the meeting so that we can meet offline and confirm memberships and move on to elections.
Okay, thank you, Becca,
I
for
second
adjourning
that.
the meeting. And Randy. And with that, we are moving on. We are adjourning the meeting. I'm taking off the live stream. Hopefully it works. Sorry. Okay,
And we
as
just
far
want to remind everyone who is here that we will be starting the election, so please stay on. At this time, I think we only have 16 voting members.
hold on a sec. Let me see if I'm able to stop the